In the lab, Zhou Kiki accidentally knocked over a chemical agent, causing an explosion. As the fire spread, both she and I reached out to our fiancé and brother for help, yet, without a moment's hesitation, they rushed to her side. Later, I woke up in the hospital, severely burned, yet, I ended up being the one who took the fall. My fiancé and brother looked at me apologetically, saying, Keek's family is in a tough spot. She can't afford to delay her graduation any longer. You, on the other hand, still have some room for error. And just like that, my advisor's decade of meticulous work was destroyed in an instant. I was killed when an emotionally charged student threw sulfuric acid on me. Meanwhile, Zhou Kiki climbed over my corpse to become the celebrated campus belle, renowned for both her academic brilliance and moral character. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day she spilled the reagent. 1. You've all worked hard on the experiment. Let me wash the equipment. Zhou Kiki's sweet, delicate voice rang out. The pink cheapah she wore made her appear even more charming and lovely. No need for that. How could we possibly let a young lady do the washing with all of us here? Do you think we're just for show? My brother reached out and picked up the reagent bottle, ready to clean it. That's right, Coco, you go and take a rest. We'll all go for dinner once we're done here. This time, it was my fiancé, Gunan, who spoke. He wore gold-rimmed glasses and had a gentle, refined smile. Zhou Kiki stuck out her tongue playfully. What boy washes bottles and jars? That's a girl's job. You guys go tidy up the other stuff over there. Seeing how eager she was, my brother and Gunan didn't argue anymore and went to organize the equipment on the side. As soon as the boys were gone, Zhou Kiki dropped the act. I just tossed all the test tubes that needed cleaning into the sink. Among them was a tube still mostly full of nitric perchloric acid. My heart skipped a beat. I'd finally found the cause of the explosion from my past life. Yu Yan, what are you just standing there for? Get over here and help wash these. Zhou Kiki bossed me around with an air of superiority. Even though you wrote the lab report and came up with the topic, we still have to do the work together. I quickly took several steps back and spoke in a measured tone. Nitric perchloric acid must not be mixed with other solutions, and you can't wear a skirt in the lab. You must wear pants, along with gloves and safety goggles. You're a senior in college, and you still don't know these basic facts. In my past life, I was a model student, completely focused on papers and experiments. I never refused when they wanted to add their names to my work, so they thought I was a pushover. Easy to take advantage of, yeah, and that's how I ended up being cyberbullied. Attacked with acid by a rival student, and dying from the resulting infection, I could have made a brilliant mark in the scientific community, elevating our nation's nanotechnology research to new heights, but they ruined it, those selfish, vile scum of society. Fine, I'll be more careful next time. Geez, you're so naggy. Zhou Kiki rolled her eyes so hard they nearly disappeared, then raised her hand to flaunt her massive cubic zirconia manicure. As you can see, I just got my nails done and can't get them wet, so you're on washing duty for the test tubes today. I let out a cold laugh and flat out refused. When my brother and Gunan offered to wash them, you just had to show off and take it on yourself. Well, you can finish the job then. Seeing my refusal, Zhou Kiki's eyes instantly turned venomous, and she secretly hid the bottle of hydrochloric acid reagent on the table. Yu Yan, I admit I'm not as clever as you, so I usually follow your lead. But you don't have to humiliate me like this. Zhou Kiki suddenly raised her voice and cried out in grievance. At the same time, she threw the hydrochloric acid reagent onto the perchloric acid. Instantly, a great fire erupted. So, it was all part of her plan from the very beginning. You monster. 2. Yu Yan, help me. Zhou Kiki was surrounded by the crimson flames. Her face was a mask of panic, yet her eyes held an unsettling calm. She was betting I would save her, counting on my kindness, my mercy, and my forgiving nature. In my past life, I did reach out to help, only for her to shove me into the inferno. I was later killed by an enraged student who threw sulfuric acid on me. The sensation of my bones burning and melting away still sends a shudder through me to this day. My most trusted mentor looked at me with disappointment. My beloved parents gave up on me, and I was scorned by all, nailed to the pillar of shame. So in this life, I simply gave her a faint, knowing smile from across the sea of flames. Oh dear, the fire's too intense. I'll go find someone to help you. With that, I picked up the experimental data report and turned to leave. I left behind the sound of Zhou Kiki's frantic, screaming cries. Su Yuyan, don't you dare leave. Get me out of here. Now, you have to save me. She could have made it out when the fire started, but she deliberately reached out for me to pull her. Now the flames have spread, and there's no way she can get out. As I was leaving the lab, I ran into my brother and Gunan, who were just coming back with bubble tea. They were all holding mango milkshakes, Zhou Kik's absolute favorite flavor, but I don't like it at all. Yen, why are you out here alone? Where's Kiki? Slacking off and refusing to clean the tubes again. You really should learn a thing or two from Kiki. Be a bit softer, a bit sweeter when you talk. That's how you get a man to like you. After my brother finished teasing with a grin, he gave Gunan a playful shove. Am I right, future brother-in-law? Gunan adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses and said with a faint smile, Coco's personality is quite endearing, you know, Su Yuyen, it wouldn't hurt for you to learn a thing or two from her. I let out a cold laugh. This was my own brother and my fiancé. One constantly undermines me while fawning over Zhou Coco, all without seeming to try. He called his own fiancée by her full name, yet used a pet name for Zhou Kiki. It was so obvious, yet in my past life, I never saw it. A junior female colleague even hinted to me gently, saying she saw Gunan and Zhou Kiki going to the movies together, and they seemed quite intimate. I confronted Gunan about it back then, and he claimed my brother was there too, that the three of them went together, and they didn't want to disturb me since I was in the middle of an experiment. He even said not to believe what my juniors said. That they were just jealous they got to work on experiments with me and were deliberately trying to drive a wedge between us. So I believed them without a second thought, especially since my own brother had spoken up to back their story. Why would my own brother lie to me? But not only did my own brother lie to me, he led me to a ruinous end with nowhere to rest my bones. 3. That's right, Zhou Kiki is in there washing the tubes. She just mentioned how her new nails make it difficult to clean them properly. It would be great if someone could help her out. You two should go assist her, I said with a forced, insincere smile. No sooner had the words left my mouth than I saw the two of them eagerly rushing into the lab to curry favor. Glancing at my watch, 3 minutes had already passed. Zhou Kiki should be covered in burns by now. They would never let their beloved perish in the flames, so they're bound to charge in to save her. Perfect timing. All three of those lunatics have gathered in one place. It would be best if they all burned to death together. Inside the hospital, after being rushed to the hospital, Zhou Kiki was covered in burns, but her delicate, pitiful face remained unscathed. Gunan's leg was injured and fractured. Having been accidentally struck while rescuing Zhou Kiki, her brother suffered extensive burns on his back and right arm. He had used his own body as a shield for her. That's truly heart-wrenching. All the classmates were marveling on the sidelines, saying that my brother and Gunan are real men, true heroes. Why did Yuyan do this to me? She could have saved me. I wouldn't have gotten burned. Right after the fire started, I immediately asked her to save me. I even reached out my hand. But she just turned and walked away. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Wah, I've been burned like this. My life is completely ruined. This outburst of sobbing didn't just anger my brother and Gunan. Even the expressions of the surrounding classmates grew complicated. The professor frowned, clearly not fully believing what she said. Yuyan doesn't seem like that kind of person. Let me get to the bottom of this first before we jump to conclusions. The students, their emotions stirred up by Zhou Kiki, began to voice their accusations. Professor, I know Su Yuyen is your star pupil, but look what's happened to Zhou Kiki. There has to be a limit to your favoritism. Exactly, no matter how gifted a student is, if their character is flawed, the harm they can do to society is even greater. We demand that Su Yuyen be dealt with severely. The uproar was too great. Even the professor couldn't hold out against it. His gaze then fell on my brother and Gunan as he said, you two are closest to Yuyen. Do you believe she is that kind of person? His intention was for them to speak up in my defense, buying him time to find me and investigate. Professor, my sister can be a bit eccentric at times. I don't always understand her either. My brother was the first to throw cold water on the idea. A flicker of disappointment crossed the professor's eyes before they turned, full of hope, toward Gunan. Gunan is my fiancé. How well he treats me is common knowledge across the entire campus. He'd bring me meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, save me a seat at the library, bring me an umbrella on rainy days, and even drive 3 hours just to buy my favorite soup dumplings. But now, his face was as cold as if he were looking at an enemy. Professor, the facts are right in front of us. It's no use refusing to believe it. I wish she weren't that kind of person too, but unfortunately, she is. Their words sealed my fate. The professor seemed to age 10 years in an instant, his frame becoming stooped. 4. Zhou Kiki, I heard you got burned. Are you okay? I walked in from outside the door at that moment, deliberately wearing a look of concern. But you were perfectly fine when I left. You said your new manicure made it hard to wash the test tubes, but I thought the professor was in a real hurry for this lab report. So I went back to the classroom to write it up first, on the way. I even ran into my brother and Gunan. I told them to go help you with the tubes. What on earth were the three of you doing? How did a fire suddenly start? Even though you're all seniors, your practical skills aren't that strong. I've told you before, don't run experiments when I'm not there to supervise. Well, look what happened. Kiki is hurt this badly. This is completely unacceptable. With that, I even put my hands on my hips, looking utterly exasperated with their lack of effort. I seemed genuinely furious. Compared to the acting those three had just put on, I was even more convincing. Instantly, Kiki on the bed was dumbstruck. My brother and Gunan were completely baffled by my deadpan delivery of utter nonsense. The professor exclaimed in pleasant surprise, Yu, is that true? You didn't just ignore Kiki's cries for help in the fire. I frowned, my face a picture of confusion. Huh? What do you mean, Professor? I don't understand a word of this. In an instant, Kiki began shrieking like a madwoman. Su Yuyen, stop pretending. You were right next to me when the fire started. I begged you for help, and you just told me you'd go find a classmate to save me. I pressed my lips together, swallowing the smile that nearly escaped the corner of my mouth. So, she finally understands how agonizing and suffocating it feels to be wronged. I was only treating her the same way she treated me. Why is she losing her mind over it? Come on. This is just the beginning, Coco. How could I possibly be that kind of person? Remember when you were so inexperienced in the lab that no one wanted to be your partner? I was the one who took you in. I even stayed up all night helping you with the data for your report. Have you forgotten? And that time you wore sheer stockings on a date in sub-zero temperatures just to look good, and nearly got frostbite on your face. I was the one who massaged you tirelessly to help you recover. I ended up catching your terrible cold and almost got pneumonia myself. I kept a low profile about it, so I didn't make a big deal out of it, but a few classmates were aware, so they came forward one after another to back me up. It's absolutely true. I was in the dorm room next door and saw the whole thing clearly. Exactly. I've known Su Yuyen for years. She's a woman of few words, but she has a genuinely kind heart. There's no way she would ever refuse to help someone. I might believe it if it were someone else, but there's no way Su Yuyen would ever do something like that. 5. Kiki was so angry she nearly coughed up blood. Suddenly, she remembered something and cried out in a hurry. Check the hallway security footage to see when Su Yuyen left. Compare that with the time Gunan and Yunzhou came in to rescue me. And it's obvious when the fire started, she really did leave me for dead. Besides, what would I gain by falsely accusing her if she's innocent? I wouldn't have set myself on fire just to frame her, would I? Her argument made perfect sense, and everyone's suspicious gaze shifted back to me. A normal person wouldn't burn themselves to frame someone else, but Kiki would. Because she's completely unhinged. My brother chimed in, seizing the moment. Yen, tell your brother the truth. Were you scared back then? Is that why you hid the fact that you didn't save her? Don't be afraid, just tell the truth. No one will blame you. Coco is a very straightforward girl. If nothing had really happened, she wouldn't have said something like that for no reason. I pretended to think for a moment, then gave my brother a hard slap on the back. He winced in pain, sucking in a sharp breath, and the white bandage was instantly stained red with blood. I'm sorry, brother. I just got too worked up and forgot you were injured too. My brother was in such pain he nearly ground his molars to dust, yet he forced himself to look unbothered as he asked me urgently, have you remembered that you really didn't save Kiki? I quickly shook my head. No. I finally understand why Kiki is so adamant that I didn't save her. I'm sure it's because I refused to wash the test tubes for her back then. I even pointed out that her outfit violated lab safety protocols. Mixing perchloric acid with other reagents can cause an explosion, and wearing a short skirt without safety goggles is unacceptable. She must have held a grudge and is deliberately framing me now. With another sigh, I added, Coco, if you had just followed the basic lab safety rules, you wouldn't have suffered such extensive burns all over your body. Instantly, the other students' gazes toward Kiki grew complicated. After all, throughout my 4 years of university, I've helped countless classmates and brought numerous honors to the school. I'm considered a model student here, with a spotless record, but Kiki was different. She was at the bottom of the class, flirted with guys, stole other girls' boyfriends, played games, and had a long list of past offenses. As for the security camera in the lab hallway, it had been broken for ages. This time, Kiki had no defense. 6. Su Yuyen, liars deserve a miserable end. Kiki was so furious she nearly climbed off the bed to strangle me, her crimson eyes wild and terrifying. I curled my lips into a cold smile, as if I had a peaceful death in my past life. Before leaving, I made sure to drop one final bombshell. I went to the lab with a few professors. We've determined the cause of the fire and explosion. It was a mixture of nitric perchloric acid and hydrochloric acid. I saw with my own eyes that you discarded the nitric perchloric acid in the sink. The hydrochloric acid on the table was a full meter away. There's no way it could have been spilled accidentally. This was no accident. Joe Kiki, an investigation team will be coming later to ask you for the specific details. The previously frantic Joe Kiki immediately became subdued, his eyes darting around guiltily. In my past life, my injuries were so severe that I was unconscious for 2 days. When I woke up, the verdict was already in. Everyone had decided it was my doing. Both my brother and my fiancé pressured me to take the blame. They said what's done is done, and since I was already crippled, I shouldn't ruin Joe Kiki's life as well. Fine, in this life, it's Joe Kiki who's ruined. Let's see what they have to say for themselves this time. Once we were outside the ward, the professor exclaimed with emotion, "Thank goodness you're not involved in this, otherwise." I'm not sure if even swallowing my pride and begging would be enough to help you. A wave of warmth washed over me, and my nose tingled with emotion. In my past life, the professor was the only one who went to bat for me afterwards, running around trying to prevent the school from expelling me. He even sought out the world's top dermatologist in an effort to help me recover and live a normal life. It's just a shame that, in the end, I still let him down, dying in a rotten, stinking corner. In this life, I absolutely will not let such a thing happen again, Professor. The even better news is that I took the results of your 10 years of hard work with me, otherwise, they would have been destroyed in an instant. What a terrible waste that would have been. The professor patted me on the shoulder and spoke with deep feeling. So what if 10 years of experimental results are gone? We can just spend another 10 years. Life is the most precious treasure of all. This experiment is wrapping up. From now on, you'll work with me on other projects, just you alone, don't bring the others. The meaning wasn't spelled out explicitly, but I got the message. Joe Kiki has questionable character. My brother, and Gunan, had truly broken his heart. I nodded obediently. Professor, I understand. Satisfied, the professor left to deal with the aftermath of the lab explosion. After all, he had no connection to his beloved disciple, so he no longer had to watch his step. 7. The professor had barely left when my brother and Gunan came looking for me. Yen, it's a good thing you weren't there during the fire. If you'd gotten hurt, Mom would have had my hide. My brother looked at me with an ingratiating, eager-to-please expression. Gunan chimed in, you have no idea how massive that fire was. The explosion at the end was especially dangerous. We almost didn't make it out alive. Right then, all I could think was that I had to get out. I couldn't bear the thought of you being left alone out here. How lonely you'd be. I looked at them with a faint, ambiguous smile, as if watching a pair of clowns. My brother touched his nose guiltily and explained, back in the hospital room, we just didn't process it in the moment. That's why we misunderstood you. But you have to believe me and Gunan, we're the people who love you most in this world. We would never hurt you. Please, just forgive us this once. I curled my lips into a mocking smile and said nonchalantly, well, it's not the first time you've taken Joe Kiki's side, and I'm used to it by now. But this is the last time. Okay, if it happens again, I'm done with you all. Hearing this, my brother and Gunan exchanged a look, and the words they had to plead for Joe Kiki died on their lips. Even though I'm easygoing, they know that once I'm truly angry, there's no talking me out of it. Still, my brother couldn't help but probe a little. Yen, weren't you and Kiki pretty close before? Now she's hurt this badly and might even face punishment from the school. It's really quite pitiful. I let out a cold laugh. It was supposed to be your job to clean the tubes, but she insisted on taking it. Even a middle schooler knows that mixing nitric acid, perchloric acid, and hydrochloric acid can cause an explosion or fire. If she wasn't doing it on purpose, then she got what she deserved, and if she was doing it on purpose, then she's just plain asking for it. And that's not all. She even had the nerve to frame me, accusing me of standing by and doing nothing, trying to ruin my reputation. What project would dare hire me after that? She's out to destroy me. Why on earth should we feel sorry for someone so stupid and malicious? Just then, classmates began streaming out of the hospital room one after another. Hearing what I said, they all nodded in agreement. Thank goodness you managed to save the professor's 10 years worth of experimental results. Otherwise, that fire she started would have burned through millions. How can someone be so malicious? They messed up. Didn't even apologize properly. And then had the nerve to try and drag others down with them. How did someone with that level of intelligence even get into our school? I just don't get it. Expelling her is letting her off easy. In my opinion, they should make her pay for the damages too. She's completely unhinged. 8. My brother and Gunan exchanged a look upon hearing this. The words they had prepared to plead for Zhou Kiki died on their lips, but they foolishly tried to take the blame for Zhou Kiki. It was pointless. Of course, since I was the third person to leave the lab, I followed all the experimental procedures to the letter, and my report was crystal clear, so the outcome was inevitable. Zhou Kiki was expelled from the university, with the media splashing the story everywhere. She's become quite the celebrity. An accidental lab explosion typically won't get you expelled, but if it was done on purpose, that's premeditated. In serious cases, you could even face criminal charges. Zhou Kiki claimed it wasn't intentional, but if a senior about to graduate didn't know that a mixture of nitric, perchloric, and hydrochloric acids could explode, our university would become a laughingstock in the academic world. So, before she was even discharged from the hospital, all her belongings from the dorm were packed up and delivered right to her room. When Zhou Kiki saw me, she was so furious she almost flew off the handle, screaming hysterically, "Su Yuyan, I've been expelled. Are you happy now?" I gave a faint smile. "It's not just me. The entire school is relieved. Anyone assigned to do an experiment with you would be risking their life." My brother frowned, displeased. "Little sister, why must you be so harsh?" I looked at him in disbelief, my face a mask of anger. "Brother, who's your real sister here? Me or Zhou Kiki? She probably caused that explosion on purpose to kill me, your own flesh and blood. And you're actually taking her side. I'm so disappointed in you." My brother was left completely speechless by my outburst. Gunan immediately jumped out. "Su Yuyan, don't listen to the nonsense from the other students. Kiki is a really kind person. She would never do something like that. The lab fire was just an accident." I narrowed my eyes, looking at him with a faint, ambiguous smile. "Gunan, you've known me for over a decade and still call me by my full name, but after just 3 years of knowing Zhou Kiki, you're already calling her Kiki." Gunan was taken aback, his gaze shifting away, unable to meet my eyes. "I just followed your brother's lead. It's become a habit," I shot back. "My brother has always called me Yen Yen. I don't see you picking up that habit." Gunan rubbed his nose, saying guiltily, "I'll call you Yen Yen from now on. Don't be mad." A cold smirk curled my lips. "Call me Yen Yen. You think you're worthy?" Gunan's face instantly darkened. "Su Yuran. What's that supposed to mean?" I just explained. "I'm just used to calling you that because your brother does. Is it really necessary to make such a big deal out of it and blow it out of proportion? Why can't you be more gentle and understanding, like Kiki?" 9. I raised my hand and slapped Gunan across the face. "Even a dog knows to be loyal to its master, but you're worse than a dog. If it weren't for me tutoring you all these years and putting your name on my research, do you really think you'd be where you are today? And your parents' pathetic company, it would have gone bankrupt ages ago if it weren't for my family's support. I've already sent the photos of you fooling around with Zhou Kiki to my parents. The engagement is being called off." With that, I took a stack of photos from my bag and flung them at his head. They were falling thick and fast, just like snowflakes. There were pictures of them getting intimate, kissing and embracing in the cinema, being all lovey-dovey and feeding each other in trendy restaurants, and even holding hands romantically on the beach in their bikinis. I spent a bit of money to hire a private investigator and got all their hotel check-in records printed out. Gunan hurriedly bent down to pick up the photos, but there were far too many. He couldn't possibly gather them all up in a short time. Xiaohu bot, document protection anti-piracy. Find books with ease. Choose Xiaohu, reliable and steady, no pitfalls. Upon seeing the photo, the older brother's face instantly turned deathly pale. He looked at Gunan in disbelief, then at Zhou Kiki. His head might as well have been glowing green. My brother's affection for Zhou Kiki is plain to see. Every gift he gives her is a luxury brand item. Over the past few years, he spent at least several $100,000 on her. Zhou Kiki is always very affectionate towards him in return. While they haven't made it official, the vibe between them is intensely ambiguous. But that's just how shameless Zhou Kiki is. She has a particular obsession with anything that belongs to me. "Su Yuran, I was wrong. I'll never do it again. Please give me another chance. I really can't call off the engagement with you, or my parents will kill me." Gunan dropped to his knees, weeping uncontrollably. In that moment, he was genuinely filled with regret, but there are no second chances in this world. I bent down, grabbed his chin, my expression a mix of scorn and contempt. "Look. I'm not a garbage dump. Don't ever show your face around me again, or I'll strip your name from all those experiments you've been piggybacking on. You'll be looking at a delayed graduation." Gunan slumped to the floor, his face ashen. He knows I don't lose my temper easily, but once I've made up my mind, there's no talking me out of it, and of course, I couldn't resist getting one last dig in at Joe Kiki before I left. Congratulations, I suppose, with third-degree burns leaving you disabled. You'll at least get a discount at tourist attractions now. Joe Kiki nearly leapt out of bed to strangle me. Su Yuyen, you bitch, get out of here. I never want to see you again. I nodded with a smile, gladly. I'm afraid looking at you any longer would give me nightmares. And so, Joe Kiki descended into even greater madness. She hurled hysterical curses at me, but to me, it sounded like a triumphant fanfare. Sweet and melodious. 10. Mom and Dad moved quickly, the very next day. The newspaper carried the announcement of my broken engagement with Gunan. Mom sighed and shook her head as she served me more food. It just goes to show, you never truly know a person's heart. We watched Gunan grow up, and who would have thought he was that kind of man behind closed doors? I nodded in agreement. Tell me about it. Thankfully, I take after you, Mom. I know when to cut my losses and move on. By the way, Mom, Dad, you should talk some sense into my brother. He's still at the hospital keeping watch over Joe Kiki. He hasn't been to class for half a month now. His professor said he'll fail the course if he doesn't show up soon. Dad flew into a rage and called my brother, giving him an earful. Su Yunzhou, I spent a fortune sending you to university to study, not to chase after girls. How dare you skip classes and risk failing? Who do you think you are? Get your ass home right now. If I don't see you in half an hour, don't bother coming back ever again. In less than half an hour, 15 minutes, to be exact, my brother came rushing back in a frantic hurry. He was met with our father lashing him fiercely with a leather belt. The skin split and flesh tore, a gruesomely vivid sight. My brother fixed me with a look of pure venom. I shrugged my shoulders innocently and continued to pour fuel on the fire. Brother, why are you looking at me like that? I'm doing this for your own good. You've studied hard for 12 long years. Are you really going to fail a course and delay your graduation over some girl? Gunan and I grew up together for over a decade, but the moment he betrayed me, I ended it. It's not that I wasn't hurt, but I know our family's honor is more important than my own romantic feelings. You need to think not just about yourself, but about Mom and Dad too. They've given us the best of everything and the finest education since we were little. Isn't that because they want us to make something of ourselves, if not for the glory of the nation, then at least to contribute to the family business? My words seemed to put my parents' minds at ease, and the look in their eyes grew even more approving. There was a bit of a preference for sons over daughters in our family when I was young. But because I was exceptionally capable and successful, and since many of my parents' friends had only one child, the idea of gender equality gradually took root in their hearts. So, my parents' company doesn't necessarily have to be passed on to my brother. My father laid down an ultimatum. Look at how well behaved your sister is. You need to learn from her. Do you hear me? If you embarrass us like that again, don't expect your mother and I to give you anything ever again. My brother winced in pain all over, sobbing, I understand. I won't let you down again. 11. My brother was beaten so badly that he was bedridden for a week before he could barely get up. Gunan was beaten so badly by his parents that he couldn't get out of bed, and they even put him under house arrest. In the meantime, his mother sent me a few photos of Gunan covered in injuries, hoping to make me feel sorry for him and change my mind. I ended up saving those photos and used them to make the bland cafeteria food more palatable. After I proactively asked Gunan's mother for the photos 3 times, she just straight up blocked me. Ugh, how stingy. But just as I was over the moon, Joe Kiki in the hospital was like a cat on a hot tin roof. She needed a skin graft and was completely broke. She never used to be short of cash, with my brother on one side and Gunan on the other, but now they're both bedridden, hanging on by a thread. Forget about getting money from them, they can't even answer their phones. My brother wasn't released until after he'd missed the optimal window for the skin graft, under our mom's watch. My brother had already blocked Joe Kiki on all platforms, but then I posted a moment's update visible only to Joe Kiki. I didn't just post my brother's detailed itinerary, I included the specific timings too. My brother is her only lifeline now, and she has no choice but to cling to him, true to form. A single tear from Joe Kiki was all it took for my brother's heart to melt. He paid her medical bills on the spot and even got her a VIP room. These days, my brother doesn't dare skip class so brazenly. He just sneaks off to the hospital to see Joe Kiki for half an hour after school, then rushes home in a panic. On weekends, he uses playing ball with friends as an excuse and heads straight to the hospital to keep Joe Kiki company. He even gave me an LV bag. Brother Joe, you're so good to me. Even after all I've been through, you haven't looked down on me. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have made it. Kiki buried her face in my brother's chest, weeping as if her heart would break. Kiki, don't say that. You'll always be the most beautiful in my eyes. Her brother kissed her forehead tenderly. Kiki said shyly, Brother Zhou, once I'm better, I promise I'll be your most beautiful bride. If you're usually busy, you don't have to come see me, otherwise your parents might get upset if they find out. It's the same if you just visit when you have time. Su Yuyan is very cunning and will definitely try to take the company that's rightfully yours. You need to be careful of her. My brother frowned, his expression darkening as he said, Lately, Mom and Dad have been treating her exceptionally well. They've even let her into the company and allowed her to sit in on high-level meetings. But I've been at the company much longer. And I have a lot of people backing me. It should be fine. Even as he said this, he wasn't actually very confident. Ever since we were kids, he's never once beaten me in a competition. With a sinister look, Kiki said, Don't worry, I absolutely won't let that happen. Watching the video from the private detective on my phone, I couldn't help but curl my lips into a cold smile. Right now, I'm juggling the professor's project while also learning how to manage the company from my parents. I'm swamped and can't spare a moment. Having a private investigator makes things so much easier. The video quality is fantastic. It really makes you feel like you're right there. 12. Just before the graduation ceremony, in the footage the private investigator sent, I spotted a man in Kiki's surveillance feed. He was slightly heavy-set, wearing a pair of black-framed glasses, with a vicious glint in his eyes. I knew this person all too well. He was the male student who, in my past life, had thrown sulfuric acid on me, leading to my agonizing and despairing death. At this thought, my body jolted, and I was instantly chilled to the bone. So, my death in that past life was no accident. It was Kiki's own doing. She's a real monster. So, in this life, sending her to hell isn't too much to ask, right? The graduation ceremony was in full swing. By protecting the experimental data, I ensured the professor's decade of hard work wasn't in vain. And I also prevented millions in research funding from going down the drain. So, as the graduate representative giving the speech, it was only natural my parents would come to share in this honor. The teachers, out of respect for me, didn't fail my brother. He used to have clear, guileless eyes, the obvious look of a naive rich kid, but now, the look he gave me was dark and complicated. I walked slowly onto the stage and gave an elegant bow. Hello everyone, I am Su Yuyan, a graduate of the class of '04. It is a great honor to stand here and speak on behalf of the graduating class. Before I could finish, Kiki strode onto the stage from the opposite side, microphone in hand. Her backless mini dress left the gruesome scars on her back completely exposed. Her voice choked with emotion as she pointed an accusatory finger at me. Su Yuyan, you're a fraud. You have no right to speak on behalf of the graduating class. I am Kiki, a victim of the lab explosion 3 months ago. I'm sure many of you have heard it was my fault. But that's not the truth. She was there when the explosion happened. She was the one who told me to pour the hydrochloric acid reagent down the drain, saying it would be perfectly fine, because I trusted her. I didn't question it, I just poured them together, and that's what caused the accident. I know a lot of you here probably think I'm an idiot, and you're right, I am. Ever since we started university, she's been manipulating and bullying me. I got used to just doing what she said. On the surface, she's this brilliant, flawless top student. But in reality, her specialty is bullying. She'd deliberately fail my experiments, say I was wasting her time, slap me over a dozen times, make me buy her coffee only to complain it was too sweet and throw the scalding drink in my face. She'd even make me fetch her foot washing water and kneel to wash her feet for her. 13. Instantly, the auditorium erupted in an uproar. Kiki bit her lip, tears welling up in her eyes, looking both defiant and pitiful. Many people here have been bullied by her. We've all graduated now. Are we still going to stay silent? Your silence only enables her to hurt others without any limits. Everyone exchanged glances, trying to see if anyone there had actually been bullied, and right at that moment, my brother stood up. I am Su Yuyan's brother. I'm here to apologize on my sister's behalf. She's been spoiled and domineering since she was a child, and school bullying is nothing new for her. I thought she had changed, but it seems I was wrong. The way those two were tag-teaming, trying to pin the blame on me, was just ridiculous. I let out a mocking laugh and immediately pulled up the presentation on the screen behind me. The video of my brother and Kiki getting intimate in the hospital room instantly started playing, with all the sensitive parts, of course, blurred out, but from the voices and their silhouettes, Everyone still recognized it was them. The audience immediately erupted into an uproar. I replied with deliberate calm, "Brother, didn't you say you were going to protect your classmate? How did that protection end up in bed? And now you're turning the tables on me. I'm your own flesh and blood. Joe Kiki, you really are something else. One minute you're sleeping with my ex-fiancé, the next you're cozying up to my brother. With a book like yours on how to seduce men, I'm sure you'd make an absolute fortune." Zhou Qi's face flushed crimson with rage as she began to curse, "You despicable wretch, Su Yuyan. I hope you die a horrible death." After she spoke, the heavy-set man standing not far behind her produced a glass vessel and began walking toward us. A vicious glint flashed in Zhou Qi's eyes. "No matter how tough you think you are, you're dying here, Tota." Before she could finish her threats, the fat man had already flung the sulfuric acid onto her body. The sickening sizzle of flesh corroding and rotting could be heard. Zhou Qiqi writhed in agony on the floor, while the fat man let out a chilling laugh and continued to pour acid on her. "You still think you can lie to me? You're the one who killed my sister. Today, you'll join her in the grave." Seeing this from below the stage, the older brother rushed onto the platform to save Zhou Qiqi. "You lunatic, get away from Qiqi," the brother shouted angrily as he shoved the fat man aside. The fat man grinned hideously. "Since you're with her, you can die too." He pulled a bottle of gasoline from his pocket and splashed it directly onto the brother. By the time the older brother realized what was happening, it was too late. The fat man's lighter had already been thrown at him. It all happened in a flash. By the time everyone snapped out of it and tried to rescue him and put out the fire, it was already too late. Zhou Qi's body was mostly corroded by the sulfuric acid, exposing the bone beneath. The older brother was lucky to escape with his life, but he was left permanently disfigured, blind in one eye, and with a burned-out nerve in his right hand, resulting in a lifelong disability. 14. Zhou Qiqi couldn't figure it out for the life of her why the guy she hired would turn on her halfway through. Because my private investigator looked into his past. Back when his sister was a freshman, she was dating a male classmate. Zhou Qiqi swooped in and stole her boyfriend, which ultimately led to his sister suffering a depressive episode and jumping to her death. In my past life, Zhou Qiqi pinned this crime on me, which is what led to my wrongful death. Now that Fatty has learned the truth in this life, it's her turn to die. Of course, my brother was completely abandoned by our parents. It wasn't because of his physical disability, but the moment he publicly framed and betrayed his own sister, he forfeited the right to be called family. This is a matter of basic principle. It completely exposed his true character. At a young age, he was dumped in a nursing home to spend the rest of his days with the elderly. Of course, he didn't agree and ran away from the nursing home, but within a couple of days, he went crawling back. His current appearance was frightening. He couldn't find a job, and his parents wouldn't give him any money, so he had no choice but to slink back in defeat. He called me, asking me to plead with our parents to let him come back home. I flat out refused. "Brother, you're hideous, and you reek of decay. It's disgusting." My brother flew into a rage, yelling at me, "Su Yuyan, how could you do this to me? I'm your own brother." I sneered, "So you do remember you're my brother? That ended the moment you helped Zhou Qiqi frame me. Have you ever considered what would have happened to me that day if I hadn't prepared that video counterattack in advance? I would have been expelled, publicly shamed, and left to die in a pool of acid. For the rest of your life, I will let you live, but merely exist. That is the greatest mercy you will ever receive from me. After all, he is my brother. He was quite good to me when we were kids." As for Gunan, his family business was the first to be absorbed when I took over the company. His parents fled abroad after taking out massive high-interest loans, leaving him behind in the country, completely unaware. When the loan sharks drove him to the brink of jumping off a building, he came begging for my help. Now, there's not a trace left of that gentle, refined gentleman. He looks like a vagrant, having lost over 10 pounds, utterly haggard and exhausted. "Yen Yen, please, you have to help me. Are you really just going to stand by and watch those loan sharks chop me to pieces? Just help me this once, and I swear I'll be your loyal dog for life. I'll be completely devoted to you." A sneer curled my lips as I mocked him. "You as a dog? That's an insult to dogs. With society's resources stretched so thin, the world would be better off without a parasite like you. Your death would be a public service. Don't you worry. For old time's sake, I'll make sure someone collects your body." 15. Of course, I'm a man of my word. Gunan died a month later, because he was good-looking. The loan shark sent him to work as a male escort at a business club. He was picked by a few burly, rough-looking men. Things got too intense, and he died on the spot. I had his body cremated, then I tossed it into the hazardous waste bin. Well, back to its rightful owner. 3 years later, I stood on the world's highest podium for nanotechnology research, representing my country. This filled a critical gap in our nation's nanotechnology capabilities. That same year, I was honored as an outstanding entrepreneur, marking the 5th consecutive year I received this accolade. In serving my country and my people, I have a clear conscience. Story 2, Jiangwan was a medical prodigy, yet also battled depression. I became a doctor to save him, while he took his own life for his first love. When I returned to being 18, I began distancing myself from him. But this only made him resentful. I asked him, "You know I've had a crush on you since we were kids, right?" He dodged the question. "But I can't live without you. Can't we just stay best friends?" I laughed. Jiangwan, you don't deserve me. 1. At age 32, Jiangwan won a world-class medical award. That night he went to receive the award while I decorated the hotel room, waiting to celebrate his return. Instead, all I got was news of his suicide. The room was pitch dark. Amidst the scent of freshly cut roses, I vomited violently until drenched in cold sweat. My entire body felt like it had been dragged from water. Endless self-blame wove into a suffocating net, trapping me in its grip. 2 years ago, after countless failed experiments, Jiangwan suffered another emotional breakdown. He kept replaying scenarios in the dark room, even talking to himself. Then suddenly he rushed to the kitchen, grabbed a fruit knife, screaming, "Give it back to me," while threatening to kill someone. He seemed to be confronting an invisible foe, yet the blade was pointed at his own chest. The moment I saw him grab a knife on the surveillance feed, I immediately climbed over from my balcony into his apartment. But I was still a second too late. The blade had already sunk into flesh. Jiangwan, freeze. He wore gray loungewear, his slightly overgrown hair partially obscuring his eyes. His slender frame carried an air of sickly fragility. When he turned and saw me, his face was filled with bewildered helplessness. I approached him slowly, took his hand, and gently urged him to release his grip on the fruit knife at his waist, whether pushing it deeper or pulling it out. Either action would only worsen the situation. After calming down, he apologized to me. "I'm sorry, it's okay." Pressing a towel around his wound, I looked up with a forced smile and asked, "Did you forget to take your meds again?" "I didn't mean to." He wiped the tear from my eye, gazing intently at me. "Has it been too hard for you?" "No need to thank me. I'm just terrified of losing him." Clutching his slender fingers against my cheek, I begged, "Jiangwan, please don't die. I'm begging you." "Okay." He didn't answer, only told me not to cry. Perhaps from that moment on, the answer had already taken root in my heart. In the end, I couldn't make him stay. 2. Though Jiangwan suffered from depression, withdrawn, cold, and difficult to approach, his professional prowess was unmatched, making him the driving force of the entire team. It was because of him that I chose to major in biology in college. Later, I genuinely fell in love with the subject. The sense of accomplishment from overcoming each challenge became my driving force to persevere. But Jiangwan seemed to harbor an almost pathological obsession with conquering this disease. After 5 years of relentless effort, he actually succeeded. On the day the Phase 3 clinical trial succeeded, he smiled a genuine smile for the first time. His crimson eyes glistened with wild euphoria as he crushed me in a desperate embrace. "Xiaomi, I won." For that fleeting moment, I truly believed he could be mine. Soon after, Jiangju received a call informing him that he'd won the International Medical Award. Before boarding the plane, he was visibly distressed, muttering about running out of time. Thinking he was having another episode, I immediately gave him his medication while reassuring him, "Jiangju, there's still time. The experiment succeeded. We'll have plenty of opportunities to prove it." As he gradually calmed down, a hint of sharp sarcasm flickered through his upturned eyes. "Will we really make it in time?" I assured him firmly. "We'll make it." Only when I glimpsed his secret did I realize how ridiculous I'd been. I returned to my homeland alone, carrying his ashes, returning to Jiangwan's place to sort through his belongings. The white shirt on the couch still carried his scent. I hung the dry-cleaned overcoat in the wardrobe. The desk was littered with his handwritten drafts, stacks of research materials, lab equipment. I've sorted everything out piece by piece, until I saw the name written on the back of his scratch paper. Chen Tang, layer upon layer, the ink bleeding through the page. I lost it. 3. I smashed open Jiangwan's locked drawer, and uncovered the secret he'd kept hidden his entire life. From their high school graduation photo, he'd neatly cut out Chen Tang's portrait alone. Inside the drawer lay an audio tape, preserving the thoughts he'd recorded since turning 18. Little did I know, during his glorious youth, he had harbored such a humble, unrequited love for someone. He chose biology for one reason alone. Chen Tang suffered from a genetic disorder, All these years, I mistook his relentless research to cure this disease as mere genius obstinacy, but everything he did was to save her. His too late remark came when Chen Tang was rushed back into emergency care. He'd steal to her hospital door at midnight, praying to God not to take her away. He frequently consulted her attending physician about her condition. For years he'd loved her in secret, without her ever knowing. The day Chen Tang died was exactly when Jiang Wan went abroad to receive his award. Rumor has it he took a phone call after accepting the prize, then jumped to his death. This was a lover's suicide. The moment I uncovered the truth, I completely fell apart. Jiang Wan's obsessive love for Chen Tang turned me into a complete fool. How could he do this to me? I hate myself for not uncovering the secret sooner. I wonder what Jiang Wan was thinking when he watched me cry for him over and over, living in constant fear of losing him, unable to sleep night after night. If only once he'd told me plainly that he didn't love me, that I was just like a sister to him, I wouldn't have been trapped in this delusion all this time. The love I once felt for him has turned to equal measure of hatred. I didn't attend Jiang Wan's funeral. I locked myself in the room, silently weeping from dawn till dusk, drowning my aching heart in alcohol. The pain is unbearable. I can pay the price for my own affections, admit I loved the wrong person, and bear the consequences, but I can't just walk away overnight from a decade-long relationship. Nor can I forgive his years of deception. Jiang Wan's betrayal hurt me as deeply as killing my soul. Jiang Wan destroyed me twice. The first time was his death. That was his secret. I hated his guts. 3 months later, my severe depression made me unable to work, and I was hospitalized for electroconvulsive therapy. During the 12th electroshock session, I completely blacked out from the excruciating pain. She departed this world carrying a lifetime of bitterness and regret. 4. To my astonishment, when I opened my eyes again, I'd somehow returned to my 18-year-old self. I couldn't even tell whether I'd crossed into another realm after death or simply awakened from an extraordinarily vivid dream. My deskmate Song Ning threw an arm around my shoulders, eyes sparkling with excitement. Xiaomi, what birthday present did you prepare for Jiang Wan? Sitting in the private lounge Jiang Wan had booked, seeing my former high school classmates felt like revisiting a lifetime ago. It was winter break during our senior year. When I remained silent, Song Ning opened the bag beside me. Wow, this is obviously hand-knitted by you. That silver gray totally suits His Highness Jiang Wan. My eyes welled up with tears as I looked at this scarf. While sorting through Jiang Wan's belongings, I found this scarf he used to wear so often. He never cared for me, yet made me feel so special with his feigned affection. How cruel. The bar lights suddenly went dark, leaving only the spotlight on stage. Jiang Wan, a young man in a crisp white shirt and black trousers with ramrod straight posture, sat at the piano and began playing Secret. It was his favorite piano piece. I once asked Jiang Wan, "Why do you love this composition?" He said, "No reason, I just like it." Now, I understand everything. Chen Tang was the secret he could never speak aloud. Watching his familiar yet distant figure, my heart grew still as water. Love doesn't vanish overnight. The moment I discovered his secret, during those 12 electric shocks, my love for him had already died. My gaze found Chen Tang in the crowd, quietly watching the stage in her beige sweater. Her eyes held tender affection. My 18-year-old self might have missed it, but now I understood in an instant. She liked him too, so it was never Jiang Wan's unrequited love alone. Theirs was a mutual crush. 5. In his past life, on Jiang Wan's 18th birthday, he rented out an entire lounge bar and invited the whole class. Song Ning said Jiang Wan was being coy, too shy to celebrate with just me. That's why he invited everyone. I used to believe that too, but now, I see things clearly. I picked up the gift bag and slipped away unnoticed. Just as I reached the doorway, I heard Jiang Wan's voice, cool yet choked with emotion. He said, "I like you," amid the classmates' teasing cheers. I distinctly heard the name he called out afterward, Chen Tang. "I love you, Chen Tang." The next moment, deathly silence fell over the entire room. This never happened in my past life. Everyone used to think Jiang Wan and I were childhood sweethearts, inseparable and destined to be together. They all assumed his sudden academic dedication in sophomore year was to get into the same university as me. The whole world believed he had feelings for me, but his heart never belonged to me. And I wasn't the one he wanted to confess to. I couldn't help but glance back. I wanted to see his happy expression. I've seen too many desperate looks on his face, witnessed his stitched-up corpse, yet never beheld his genuine joy. Under the lights, Jiang Wan's elongated eyes curved upward, rims reddening as he fixed an unblinking stare at Chen Tang below the stage. Love for someone can't be hidden, nor can happiness. Surely he'll have no regrets left in this lifetime. Jiang Wan, if this is just a daydream, Then I'm returning your dream to you. I don't want to know why Jiangwan suddenly confessed. I don't care anymore. At this moment, even my hatred for him has faded. I slowly closed the bar's door, stepping foot by foot in the snow. The cold was so bitter it stung my eyes. It's not me who's sad. One last time, I'll cry just one last time, not for anyone else, just for the brave and sincere person I used to be. His not liking me doesn't mean I did anything wrong. Nor does it mean I'm not good enough. I did nothing wrong. I'm fine. When I reached the back alley, I tossed the scarf into the trash without hesitation. I lost track of how far I'd walked or where I was going, until my legs gave out and I ended up crouching by the deserted roadside. Snowflakes began drifting down from the sky unnoticed. They landed on my skin with a biting chill. My blurred vision gradually came into focus, hearing faint footsteps. I looked up to see Shinchong standing tall in his black puffer jacket, holding a black umbrella over my head. There was something odd in his gaze, like someone awakening from a beautiful dream with lingering regret. 6. Shinchong, Jiangwan's former psychiatrist. Before my death in the previous life, I asked him, "Did you know Jiangwan had someone she deeply loved?" After a long silence, he replied, "I can't disclose patient confidentiality." I remembered how he tried to snap me out of my daydream, but I refused. Unlike his previous aloof persona with gold-rimmed glasses, the current Shinchong wore no spectacles and still carried a youthful air. I stared at him in confusion. At this point in time, we shouldn't have met yet. Why is he looking at me like that? Then it hit me. Every time I accompanied Jiangwan to the hospital in my past life, the way he'd look at me and the things he'd say, I just felt so embarrassed. He'd known all along. He knew I was just a lovesick fool, yet never had the decency to tell me straight. Talk about professional integrity. I felt wronged without justification. He did nothing wrong, and I had no right to lash out at him. I stood up to leave, but my legs had gone numb from squatting too long, and I twisted my ankle. Just as I was about to fall, someone grabbed my arm. Losing my balance, I stumbled right into their arms. "Careful," he said with a slight tremble in his voice. "Mind your own business. I don't even know you." He said nothing, simply placing the umbrella in my hand. "I'm sorry," an ill-timed apology, utterly baffling. I watched his retreating figure. What an odd fellow. After gathering my thoughts from this rebirth, I followed my memories back home. The house felt eerily quiet. After my parents divorced and started new families, I began living alone. My father left the house to my mother and me. When she remarried, I chose not to join her new household. I was already an adult and perfectly capable of taking care of myself, so I stayed behind alone. My mother visibly sighed in relief at that moment. "It's fine, I was never close with them to begin with, so I don't feel lonely." My parents met through a matchmaking arrangement and got together when they reached that age. Both had their own careers and neither wanted to compromise. Too busy with work to care for me, they hired a nanny instead. The nanny was neglectful, and as a kid I just lost myself in video games. No one bothered to rein me in. Those two who couldn't even make time for parent-teacher meetings suddenly found all the time in the world to blame each other for my poor grades. Then they turned on me, fired my nanny, smashed my computer and game console, cut off my allowance, and locked me out on the balcony as punishment. Jiangwan wasn't having it easy back then either. Fresh from losing his mother, his relationship with his father was like a drawn bowstring. He'd often hide on the balcony with his Walkman, playing cassettes his mother had loved. His father wanted a divorce, but his mother refused. One night, she drove out to catch him cheating and got into an accident. She never came back. From then on, Jiangwan resented his father, turning rebellious, skipping school, getting into fights, and watching his grades plummet. We were like two stray kids nobody wanted, growing up side by side. When he was punished by standing on the balcony, I'd pass him food from mine. When he got hurt in a fight, I climbed over the balcony to bring him medicine. When he ranked last in class, I unknowingly compiled his mistake notebook, never suspecting he was pretending to be a slacker. On New Year's Eve, when he smoked alone on the balcony, I kept him company from mine. At midnight, all light sparklers to wish him a happy new year. He called me childish, yet still prepared red envelopes for me. Ah, just memories laced with daggers, not worth holding on to. I've sorted through all of Jiangwan's belongings, all those birthday gifts he gave me over the years, the comic books he left in my room. After packing everything away, I ran into Jiangwan returning home as I came downstairs. I avoided his gaze and tossed the items into the trash, but Jiangwan followed me. "What did you just throw away?" he asked casually. I can't be bothered to answer. He asked me again, "Why did you leave early? Are you upset?" I dodged him and headed for the stairwell. "Xiaomi, what's bothering you? Even if Chen Tang and I end up together, we'll still be friends, won't we? 7. I sighed, wondering what if I'd discovered his secret before he died in our past life. I would have made a scene like a madwoman, screaming and fighting with him. Thank goodness that didn't happen, fortunately. I can now face him with enough composure. Jiangwan, I won't be upset no matter who you date. That's your own business and has nothing to do with me. I'm not interested in being friends with you anymore. You're smart enough to ace exams effortlessly, but I can't. I don't want to waste any more time on you, nor let you affect my studies, so please keep your distance and stop bothering me. I thought I'd made myself perfectly clear, but as I turned to leave, he grabbed my wrist so tightly it hurt. Frowning, I turned back to him. Jiangwan, what do you think you're doing? His expression was unreadable in the dimly lit hallway. Was I disturbing your studies? Then why didn't you say so before? Why only today? I've wanted to tell you for a while, I just didn't know how to bring it up. You're lying. I feel so drained, completely clueless why he's suddenly acting this way. It's not like he's short of friends without me anyway. Jiangwan, stop being so self-centered all the time. Try considering others' feelings for once. I have every right to end this friendship. I steadily pried his fingers loose one by one before turning to walk upstairs. After getting home, I found my phone and dialed a number I knew by heart. Professor Zhang, I'm sorry to bother you, but there's something very important I need to discuss, please. After that day, Jiangwan and I gradually grew apart. That winter break, I was busy reviewing high school coursework. Song Ning mentioned that Jiangwan took Chen Tang to Jay Chow's concert. Fuming, Song Ning swore she'd make him regret it, but I couldn't care less. How could he ever regret someone he'd risk his life for? But he still managed to put me in a bad mood. I shook my head, hung up on Song Ning, and went back to cramming. School started right after winter break. Jiangwan and Chen Tang made no effort to hide their relationship, whether during lunch breaks or between classes. They were always glued to each other. Jiangwan would patiently tutor her, fetch hot water, buy meals, wait to walk her home after evening study sessions. During the spectacle, classmates couldn't help but look at me with pity, but I couldn't care less. I chose a different university's biology department, determined to sever all ties with Jiangwan. After school that day, while I was working on the final problem of my math test, I suddenly sensed a shadow looming over me. I looked up to see Chen Tang standing there, hesitating to speak. With a guilty expression, she handed me a cup of bubble tea and murmured, I'm sorry, you've done nothing wrong to me. There's no need to apologize. The milk tea's still warm. Please take it. No thanks, I'm good. I gathered my papers and stood to leave when she rushed after me. Insisting I take the drink, I pushed it away. She lost her balance, stumbling backward over a chair. Just as she was about to fall, I reached out to steady her, only to be shoved away violently. My abdomen slammed into the corner of the table, sending a sharp, searing pain through me. Jiangwan's furious voice cut through the air. Misha, are you out of your mind? He held Chen Tang tightly in his arms. She hastily explained, it wasn't Misha. I just tripped on my own. Jiangwan kept yelling at me relentlessly. Don't you know she can't get hurt? Are you trying to kill her? Misha, if you've got a problem with me, take it out on me. Leave her alone. A surge of anger welled up inside me. What do I care if she gets hurt? If you're so worried about her, stay the hell away from me. I'm not part of your little game. I don't have time for this cheesy soap opera. Get lost. With that, I slipped out the back door. Faint murmurs of Jiangwan coaxing someone drifted from behind. Are you hurt anywhere? Does it hurt? What a lunatic. Acting like the protagonists of some romance novel. Seeing everyone else as the villain, I was studying at home when a sharp pain gradually grew in my abdomen. Lifting my shirt, I found a dark bruise. Doesn't look like anything serious. In the early hours, I started vomiting and having diarrhea, my stomach cramping in pain as cold sweat drenched my body. I crawled out of the bathroom, trembling as I dialed emergency services before collapsing onto the floor. I lost track of time until I faintly heard someone calling my name. Mia, wake up. 8. I opened my eyes to see Jiangwan's panicked face. The balcony door had been opened. Just as I was about to demand why he'd broken into my home through the balcony, he suddenly scooped me up in his arms. The paramedics were knocking but got no response. I was worried something happened to you. So I came in through the balcony. He carried me all the way to the ambulance downstairs and held my hand as we got in together. I tried to pull away, but didn't have the strength. At the hospital, I was diagnosed with acute gastritis. I sat in the chair receiving N4 drip while he sat beside me, too exhausted to argue. I just leaned back against the chair with my eyes closed. His hand cradled my neck, the icy fingertips sending a shiver down my spine. Resting against me will be more comfortable. I frowned and pulled away. Don't touch me. How much longer are you going to keep this up? I'll let the breaking and entering slide, but if you don't want me calling the cops, keep your hands off me. You disgust me. I didn't look at his face, just closed my eyes again. My stomach kept aching, and I really wasn't in the mood to argue with him. I drifted back into a groggy sleep and didn't feel better until 7 in the morning. Jiangwan never left my side. I called in sick for you. Just stay home and rest today. I didn't respond. Carrying my medicine, I walked out of the hospital entrance, hailed a cab, and ignored Jiangwan following behind me. Yet as I got into the taxi, he slipped in from the other side. Let's go home together. We're heading the same way anyway. His tone carried a hint of appeasement. I remained silent. He was still trailing behind me when we reached my doorstep. Before unlocking the door, I turned around wearily and said, Jiangwan, even if this happens again, don't show up in front of me. I don't want to see you. Is it just because I'm with Chen Tang that you hate me so much? What did she ever do to you? Or did I wrong you somehow? I didn't mean to push you yesterday. I was terrified something might happen to Chen Tang. She's not like us. Even a minor injury could be life-threatening for her. I was just panicking. If you're angry about that, I apologize. It finally dawned on me that Jiangwan had been dodging a particular question all along. He just wanted to brush past it and keep being friends with me. The audacity of this man. So I looked straight into his eyes and asked, do you like me? Jiangwan lowered his eyes, clearly unwilling to answer. Jiangwan, do you like me? I persisted stubbornly. Even though I knew the answer, I needed to hear him say it himself. I don't. But I can't live without you. I don't want to lose you as a friend. Misha, can't we just stay friends? Why must you force me to choose? Is the condition of our friendship that I can never be with anyone else? He looked at me with accusation in his eyes, as if I'd done something unforgivable. How could Jiangwan say those things when he clearly knew I had feelings for him? Jiangwan, you don't have to be despicable to survive. I could forgive you for ignoring my feelings before, but now, I don't like you anymore, and I don't want to be friends either. This has nothing to do with Chen Tang or anyone else. It's my choice. I choose not to see you again. I never asked you to choose between us. You're the one who kept pushing me. Even if you stay single forever, things between us will never go back to how they were. Do I make myself clear? Why? Because you're not worthy. 9. After returning home, I locked the balcony door. As I lay drowsy in bed after taking the medicine, I noticed what seemed like a figure standing in the corner outside the balcony, casting an elongated shadow on the ground. I realized I never truly understood Jiangwan before my rebirth. Even after rebirth, I still couldn't comprehend him. Why would he fear losing me? Didn't he already abandon me completely when he jumped for another in our past life? Wasn't losing me his own irreversible choice? Why does it suddenly feel like I'm the villain here? The school anniversary celebration fell exactly 100 days before the national college entrance exams. At the evening gala, Chen Tang and Jiangwan performed a piano duet of Secret from the movie. The audience of students started cheering and teasing them. I remembered the recording Jiangwan left on that cassette tape. Back in sophomore year, he was still the school's notorious bully. During an off-campus fight, Chen Tang happened to pass by and saved him, only to get injured in the process. Carrying the bleeding Chen Tang to the hospital, he held her like fragile porcelain. That moment marked the beginning of his secret crush. A teenager's love arrives with unreasonable intensity. Chen Tang had always been the model student in class. Even someone like him felt insecure, believing he wasn't good enough, so he stopped pretending. He began studying seriously and stayed out of trouble. When I first heard the tape's contents, I trembled with rage. Now my heart is utterly calm. After the college entrance exams, I chose a university in the South, a complete departure from my previous life's path. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, Jiangwan and I will never see each other again in this lifetime. I wasn't going to attend the final class reunion, but Song Ning practically forced me into going. The teacher turned a blind eye to students drinking alcohol. Jiangwan and Chen Tang were seated directly across from me. Song Ning sat beside me and whispered in my ear, "Did you know Jiangwan and Chen Tang applied to the same university?" "Don't know, don't care. At first I thought you were just swallowing your pride and pretending, but turns out you genuinely don't give a damn. Well, college will be full of hot guys anyway." I clinked glasses with her. "If not, that's perfectly fine. May your future be even brighter." The toasts kept coming, and I ended up drinking more than I should have. Before long, my stomach started acting up. I excused myself to the restroom to throw up, then decided to leave early. Stepping out, I saw Jiangwan leaning by the hallway window, smoking. He raised his gaze, looking at me with profound intensity. "Misha, come here." 10. I let out a soft chuckle. as if he was calling a dog, at his beck and call, dismissed with a wave. I waved my hand dismissively and walked toward the elevator at the far end, heading downstairs. As I reached the hotel entrance, Jiangwan came running after me. He reeked of stale tobacco, and though I tried to avoid him, he kept closing in. Why choose a university so far away? Didn't we promise to attend the same one? The summer night breeze brushed by as I contentedly squinted my eyes. Because I want to. And I'll go wherever I please. That's my freedom, none of your business. Then came a long, heavy silence. I opened my eyes to Jiangwan's sulky expression and flashed him a smile. We've been estranged for half a year, haven't you adjusted yet, Jiangwan? Your withdrawal period is unusually long. He paused briefly before replying, no to what? My ride arrived, so I didn't press further. Before getting in the car, I called out in his direction, Jiangwan, we've been together since childhood. You're just not used to it yet. But we'll inevitably go our separate ways. Eventually, we'll each have our own careers, our own families, then gradually lose touch, sooner or later fading from each other's lives. You'll get accustomed to a future without me. I loved him so deeply, yet still learned to live without him after his death. What's so difficult about it for him? Don't be so hard on yourself. Goodbye, Jiangwan. I leaned back in the taxi seat and closed my eyes. The driver suddenly said, that young man is chasing the car. Should I stop? No, I won't stop for him anymore. I have my own life to live, my own regrets to bear. At dawn the next day, I boarded the southbound bullet train. Before leaving, I snapped my SIM card in half and replaced it with a new one, keeping only Song Ning's contact. In my past life, she'd urged me countless times to leave Jiangwan, yet I'd drifted further from her instead. Never again will I be so blind as to lose my dearest friend. That year, a major scandal rocked academia. A professor at a Beijing university uncovered an academic fraud case. 16 years ago, a landmark foreign study on a genetic disorder was exposed as fabricated. That's why our experiment ultimately ended in failure in my past life, becoming the greatest regret of my existence. When I discovered the truth, my world completely fell apart. It meant we'd wasted 5 years pouring fortunes and endless effort into futile work. All our so-called achievements were hollow. And not a single patient was actually saved. Jiangwan took the glory with him in death, leaving us survivors to bear the full brunt of the backlash and disgrace. After Jiangju's betrayal, I suffered a career-ending blow that shattered me completely, plunging me into severe depression. I considered starting over, but couldn't survive the electroconvulsive therapy. On the first day of my rebirth, I immediately told my former professor, fortunately, driven by academic integrity. He rigorously tested the thesis through countless experiments, ultimately uncovering the truth, a revelation born from despair yet carrying newfound hope. This time, I pray we can save countless Chintangs before it's too late, not for Jiangwan's sake, but for every patient. 7 years later, just before my graduation, I received Song Ning's wedding announcement. As I was about to leave, an earthquake struck my city. When the quake hit, Jiangwan climbed over from the neighboring balcony into mine, bursting in and holding me tight, just like he used to in our youth. He said, Misha, I love you. None of us made it out in time. Later, we were buried beneath the rubble. In the darkness, he held me in his arms and spoke endlessly. He said, I thought you'd always stay by my side. I believed no matter how awful I acted, how worthless I became, you'd never leave me. But you just walked away. You threw out the scarf I gave you. Discarded everything that reminded you of me, abandoned me. Misha, I regret everything. I can't lose you. I don't want anything else, just you. But I couldn't face you. I was terrified of hearing you say you didn't want me anymore, petrified you'd truly fallen out of love. So after graduation, I secretly moved here, lived next door while avoiding you. Misha, I've missed you so much. If not for this earthquake, I'd never have found the courage to see you again. I never want to lose you again. He said, I like you. In the dim light, I recalled Eileen Chang's Love in a Fallen City. The fall of Hong Kong ultimately brought the protagonists together. When my city crumbled, Jiangwan told me he liked me. How ridiculous. When we were finally rescued, he was still gripping my hand tightly. Jiangwan injured his leg protecting me. I decided to make peace with him. He wronged me in our past life, and now he's paid me back in this one. I left before he was discharged from the hospital. Song Ning postponed her wedding for me. After attending her ceremony, I returned to my hometown for the first time in 7 years. To my surprise, the cactus on the balcony was still alive, even blooming with tiny yellow flowers. Jiang, why must you do this to yourself? I waited at home for 2 days until Jiang finally showed up, a broken man with bloodshot eyes. Limping as he walked, with red-rimmed eyes, he asked me, "Are you really leaving me?" I extended my left hand, showing the ring on my fourth finger. Jiangwan, I actually got married during my second year of grad school, just never mentioned it to anyone because we were swamped with work and never got around to holding a wedding banquet. You're lying to me, Jiangwan. It's always been you deceiving me. I've never once lied to you, but I've never seen you bring anyone home. I let out a sigh. Since he's studying abroad, we don't get to see each other often. This past year, I've been the one traveling overseas to visit him. Jiangwan looked utterly devastated. He pleaded, "I was wrong, so terribly wrong. I regret everything. It's you I love, always have been. I just didn't realize it. I swear I'll never lose you again. You're all I want, Misha. Please, don't leave me. You're all I have left." He dropped to his knees, wrapping his arms around my waist, and I felt his tears soaking through. It's too late. He's a despicable, cowardly, greedy wretch, doomed to forever chase what he can never have. Have you also been reborn? Is that why you won't forgive me? He rasped out. The moment he confessed to Chen Tang at 18, I knew Jiangwan had been reborn too. That's why he's rushing to make up for the regrets of his past life. I chose to step aside for him, but if he chose Chen Tang, why is he having second thoughts now? He's always full of regrets, never satisfied with any choice he makes. Same story in his past life, same story now. Jiangwan is just too greedy. Jiangwan, I should go now. He's still waiting for me downstairs. I slowly pushed Jiangwan away, leaving him alone in the darkness. You know I'd die without you, Jiangwan. Your life belongs to you alone. No one but yourself is responsible for it. So don't try to guilt-trip me. Even if you truly choose to die, I won't grieve anymore. I've already shed all the tears I owed you. I owe you nothing, never did. You owe me nothing either. We're even now. Let me go. And set yourself free too. 12. When I reached the ground floor, Shinchong was waiting by the car. Finished talking. I nodded. He walked toward me and pulled me into a tight embrace, his whole body trembling. Mr. Shen, where's that confidence of yours? You were quite the charmer when pursuing me, Shinchong whispered in my ear. I wish it had been me by your side when the earthquake hit. It's alright, this matters. I don't want you to be alone. I've applied for early graduation and I'm never leaving again. Misaki, let's get married. Whatever you do, I'll support you, take care of you, and love you. Okay, I kissed my lover's cheek. I'll support you too, take care of you, and love you. I always thought meeting Jiang Chong was pure coincidence. It wasn't until many years into our marriage that he finally told me, the day it snowed that year, his meeting me was no accident. One day, he had a dream. In the dream, he was Jiangwan's psychiatrist, and through their sessions, he learned of my existence. Every time he accompanied Jiangwan to therapy, he wanted to tell me the truth, but bound by medical ethics, he ultimately chose silence. Later on, he pieced together an image of me through Jiangwan's words, growing increasingly intrigued until he unwittingly fell for me. But before he could confess, I passed away from electroconvulsive therapy. After my death, he attended my funeral as a stranger. When the dream ended, he remained trapped in its aftermath. The blade had sunk deep into flesh. On that snowy day, he held an umbrella for me. After graduating, he chose to pursue psychology graduate studies at our university and began courting me when I was a junior. He wanted to give up studying abroad, but I wouldn't let him. After completing his postdoctoral studies abroad, he returned home and never left my side again. I once asked him, "Did you ever think it might just be a dream, all an illusion? What if you couldn't find me?" He replied, "If I didn't go looking for you, I'd probably regret it for the rest of my life." Others might think he's crazy, but I know he truly lived with that regret once before. Shinchong, I won't let you live with regrets anymore. At 29, I won a world-renowned physiology and medicine award when our research team made a breakthrough in genetic disease studies. After that, I never heard anything about Jiangwan again. On the day we sold the old house, Shinchong helped me sort through the clutter and found an aged cassette tape in the drawer labeled Summer. Shinchong asked me, "What's this?" "Can't remember. Probably nothing important." He seemed to suddenly understand something, then cautiously asked, "Can we throw it away?" Of course. The end. Story 2. My boyfriend left me to die in the fire to save his moonlight girl. After being consumed by the fire, I was reborn back to the day he proposed to me. In the clamor of the crowd, I rejected him. I walked towards the lonely young man in the crowd. He tightly held my hand, his voice trembling. "Didn't you say you would marry me when we grew up?" 1. Say yes to him, say yes to him. When I opened my eyes, Jian Beiyan holding a big bouquet of roses, smiling at me, My mind was filled with the memory of being burned alive. I saw Jiang Beiyan firmly taking his moonlight girl, Sinji, in his arms. He left without looking back, not even giving me a glance. In despair, I prayed to heaven, if I were given another chance, I would definitely not choose him. I would even try to stay as far away from him as possible. Suddenly, a voice said, "Are you sure?" I was absolutely certain. Yes, I didn't expect that. I really went back to the day when Jiang Beiyan proposed to me. Too, myself and Jiang Beiyan have been childhood friends since we were young, and I liked him, which everyone knew. At the beginning of the 3rd year of high school, he proposed to me after evening class. That day, I thought we were finally in love and had broken through that barrier. Later, I found out that his proposal was just a way for him to vent his anger towards Sinji. Even after entering university, and even after graduating from university, he still kept tangle with Sinji. In every choice between two options, I was always the one who was abandoned. I finally realized, filed for divorce, but ended up encountering Sinji coming to provoke me, until the fire happened. I didn't wait for the rescue, but instead saw Jiang Beiyan holding Sinji and walking away without looking back. At that moment, my heart completely died. So this time, in the midst of the clamor, I refused him. The lively playground fell silent all of a sudden. It's right, in the previous life, I was always Jiang Beiyan's follower, following him around, caring about him, bringing him breakfast every day, giving him water during PE class, preparing stationery for him, organizing his test papers, and waiting for him to go home after evening study. Anyone can see that I like him. Jiang Beiyan's face immediately turned dark. Wening, say that again. I looked at him and laughed coldly. Say it 100 times, I will still say the same thing. Jiang Beiyan, I don't want to be your girlfriend, and I don't like you. I'm in my 3rd year of high school, and I just want to focus on studying. After saying that, the whole crowd gasped in shock. Someone in the crowd whispered, I wouldn't believe that I'm the first emperor of Qin than believe Wening doesn't like Jiang Beiyan. Maybe it's a strategy to catch him, but being rejected in public. Jiang Beiyan's face was about to turn black. I didn't want to be the center of attention, so I turned to leave, but Jiang Beiyan grabbed my wrist, suppressing his anger. Wening, what are you crazy about? What was I thinking? Should I ask him about it? When Sinji came to me, he said he would confess his feelings to me, though he had been upset at her place. After the two of them had a cold war, Sinji then started flirting with a boy from his class, which made Jiang Beiyan confess to me immediately, because he was sure that I liked him and would not refuse him. He wanted Sinji to back down, so he used my feelings. I looked down at my reddening wrist, pried his fingers off one by one, and pointed at the person at the back of the crowd. You said you like her, so why are the two of you fighting, using me as a sacrifice? Am I supposed to be the fool? 3. Jiang Beiyan was stunned on the spot. He looked at Sinji's back as she left, then turned to look at me with a warning tone. Wening, have you had enough? Why involve others in our business? Am I the one causing trouble? This posture of his indeed confirmed the authenticity of the matter. I pulled his hand away and looked at him, speaking slowly and clearly. Jiang Beiyan, do you not understand what people say? I told you, I don't like you. He laughed coldly. If you don't like me, then who else do you like? After 17 years of relationship, he had enough confidence to believe that I couldn't be without him. But I had just gotten back to my senior year, and I only wanted to live for myself. I approached the boy behind Jiang Beiyan, who looked lonely. That was the top student, Shen Qingxi. I stood beside him and said to Jiang Beiyan, I like studying, I want to get into Tsinghua. Then I turned to Shen Qingxi and said, genius student, I might need to ask you for help often from now on. 4. After rejecting Jiang Beiyan, we fell into a cold war. Everyone was guessing that I would go to him within a day, and even set a bet. I just smiled. I also placed a bet. Forever, no way. Is Wening taking the wrong medicine? Whispering, Jiang Beiyan is already angry. Wening didn't bring him breakfast, and he's already thrown several tantrums during the morning study session. This has nothing to do with me. I just want to study now. I only hope he doesn't come to bother me again. Actually, my grades were good in high school, but after I was with Jiang Beiyan in senior year, I eventually followed his idea and stayed to study here. Later, I found out that it was because Sinji was also here. He did it on purpose. When I opened my backpack, I realized that there was a complete set of stationery I had prepared for Jiang Beiyan inside. When I took it out, I heard Jiang Beiyan's deskmate say, I told you so, she won't last an afternoon. Jiang Beiyan looked proud and seemed to be waiting for me to personally present it to him. I just took everything out. I turned around and gave it to my deskmate Shen Qingxi. Scholar, I'm bribing you in advance. there will be a lot of things I need to ask you later. Actually, in the previous life, my interactions with Shinchingzi weren't very much. He seemed to always be studying. I occasionally asked him some questions. However, since I was sure I could easily get into a local school, I didn't try hard afterwards, but I seem to remember that he asked me where I wanted to apply. At that time, my heart and eyes were full of Jian Beiyan, so I pointed in Jian Beiyan's direction and said, "Where he goes, I go." Shinchingzi didn't say much more. Now, I brought these stationery, and he looked at me. His cold eyes carried some curiosity. I smiled confidently. "It's impolite. If you don't like it, I'll throw it away." Upon hearing the word throw away, Jian Beiyan's face turned very grim. He even kicked the front leg of the desk heavily, but to my surprise, Shinchingzi said thank you and took it. 5. After deciding to study hard and stay away from the two of them, I realized my level was still far from the target university. I also love the feeling of battling with math late into the night. It's so exhilarating. I love discussing different solutions to a problem with the top students, the feeling of sudden understanding. I never realized that a life not centered around Jian Beiyan could be so interesting. Soon, the start of term ceremony for the third year of high school arrived. In my previous life, I was pushed onto the stage and urged to confess my feelings to Jian Beiyan. What did I say? Oh, I said, a beautiful youth should have no regrets. If you like someone, go for it. I'm confident I can go to the same university as Jian Beiyan. Why not use the remaining time to enjoy the beauty of student life? At that moment, the whole school was shocked, and even my parents were called in. Looking back now, I want to hit my past self for being so love-struck. This time, I quietly stay in the crowd, memorizing vocabulary, trying to stay unnoticed. However, during the free time, a girl in the class suddenly suggested, Wening studied broadcasting and hosting, right? Why don't you represent the class and say a few words? Some people followed and echoed, haha, make her go up and confess to Jian Beiyan in front of everyone. Embarrassing. Didn't she refuse Jian Beiyan before? Now is she trying to seek reconciliation and express her feelings again? I guess she's too scared. Haha, yes, she's definitely too scared. So annoying. Still betting on herself without seeking reconciliation. Yet she's still a dogged follower. I took a deep breath. The inevitable thing had finally come. They all wanted to see me fail, but I understand, because before I was always chasing Jian Beiyan. For 17 years, I've been a sycophant. Even Jian Beiyan thinks I'm just acting out of temper this time, but only I know how hard this rebirth has been. I turned my head and looked at Jian Beiyan, who was not far behind me. Our eyes met. He was wearing his school uniform, looking confident and slightly raising his head, as if also waiting for me to approach him in front of everyone to confess my feelings, to make up for the embarrassment of a few days ago when I refused him. Out of the corner of my eye, I seemed to also see Shinchingzi's gaze. For some reason, I suddenly felt a bit guilty. Encouraged by the teacher, I still stood up and walked step by step towards the podium. Behind me, there were hushed whispers. If Wening doesn't confess to Jian Beiyan today, I'll look down on her. It's really my Jian brother. Women can't be spoiled. Looking at the crowd below the stage, I adjusted the microphone and spoke confidently and gracefully. Respected teachers, dear classmates, good morning. I am Wening from Class 1, Grade 3, the fragrance of osmanthus in September, at the beginning of the third year of high school, carrying the hopes of teachers and mentors, bearing my own dreams, facing the light of the college entrance examination. I solemnly swear. The sword's sharpness comes from grinding, the plum blossom's fragrance comes from the cold. 9 years of study to sharpen a sword, waiting for the day to challenge for the top. I will spare no effort, and not waste my youth. I hope all of you will persevere and strive for 1 year, letting your ideals set sail. What greeted me was the applause of the entire audience. In my previous life, after I said those confessions, I heard whistles, laughter, and groans. I finally changed the course of events, but I didn't expect that after the meeting, Jian Beiyan blocked me. Wening, let's talk. 6. There's nothing to talk about between us. I didn't even give him a single extra glance. I walked straight towards the classroom. Jian Beiyan caught up with me and grabbed my arm, pulling me to the side of the playground despite my resistance. What's wrong with you? He furrowed his brow and questioned me. I wasn't going to back down either. I shook off his hand and said, how many times do I have to tell you? I just want to study. After saying that, I wanted to leave. He raised his big hand and blocked me, his eyes full of disbelief. You study, but why don't you bring me breakfast? Why did you give me something to someone else? Why don't you wait for me to go home together at night? Why refuse? He didn't finish his last sentence. I finished it for him. Why can't I refuse you? Are you a Chinese yuan? He was so angry he clenched his molars hard to keep his composure. Yes, before, it was always him who rejected me. He was always in a superior position, only thinking about his own feelings. He enjoyed the favor I gave him, yet gave all his love to someone else, and for me, he just needed to give me a little sweet date, and I would be more than happy. I was really foolish before. I was so foolish that it seemed like all the men in the world had died except for him. After a moment of silence, Jiang Beiyan finally said, Wening, you weren't like this before. I looked up at him and said, Jiang Beiyan, I was blind before to like you. You can go with your Tsinji and be together. Don't buzz around me like a fly anymore. After saying that, I left. Behind me, Jiang Beiyan growled, okay, Wening. Don't regret it. 7. After the incident on the playground, every morning, Sinji would go up 3 floors to bring Jiang Beiyan breakfast. She would also prepare drinks for him during the break for the morning exercises. Even during the PE class that both of our classes had together, she would wipe the sweat off him and give him water while he was playing basketball. For a time, everyone was talking about the two of them being a couple, but Jianbei didn't deny it. But there were still people who came to ask me what I thought about it. I was struggling with the physics problem, and upon hearing it, I just said calmly, good, if you're locked in, don't come out to cause trouble anymore. I really couldn't figure it out, so I poked Shinqingzi with my pen, then I pushed the test paper over to him. I only wrote one step, I couldn't think of the rest. Shinqingzi just glanced at the question, and with his clearly defined knuckles, he picked up the pen beside him. I thought he was about to explain the problem to me. So I quickly moved closer with my notebook. I seemed to catch a fleeting smile on his lips. This problem, you need to use this formula. Let's start by analyzing the question. It must be said, Shinqingzi really is a top student, and such a major problem, when explained by him, becomes very easy to understand. A few words, and he sorted it out for me. I took out my notebook with the wrong questions. Can you check these for me? I understand them, but I still haven't found law. He took the notebook from my hand, his fingertips touching it. His hands were so cold, I quickly pulled back. He was focused and seriously looking at the questions I had copied down. I suddenly remembered the past. I was really stupid. The top student was my deskmate, and I only thought about dating. It's really shameful. Before he could speak, I moved closer to him again. Who knows, a basketball suddenly hit me. The next second, my nose was in severe pain, and warm liquid started to flow down. I didn't have time to see who was responsible, and I was supported by Jiang Beiyan, who came over with a gust of wind. Lifting my head up, he quickly pulled out a piece of paper from his bag and put it on my nose. His tone was full of unexpressed urgency. Does it hurt? Then he pulled me towards the bathroom. I just pulled away from his hand and coldly looked at him. Jiang Beiyan, are you sick? 8. I picked up the basketball by my feet and threw it at him forcefully. He didn't move. Looking down at me, then at Shinqingzi next to me, and laughed coldly. Wening, is your affection so short-lived? Short-lived. I was about to laugh from anger. In my previous life, I spent more than 20 years revolving around him. When we got married, he cried and vowed to be with me for all eternity, never letting me suffer. I believed in him again and again, and tolerated him again and again. It's because my entire life has involved him. I once naively thought that growing old with him was such a romantic thing, but I overestimated him and underestimated my own feelings. My heart suddenly felt a bit swollen and aching, but I still faced his gaze. Jiang Beiyan, everyone knows you're dating Sinji. Why bring me into it? Am I just a part of your play? Her voice wasn't too loud, but everyone in the classroom could hear it. A few people in the crowd laughed quietly. But Jiang Beiyan became flustered and tried to reach for my hand to explain. I'm not dating her. I pulled away and turned my body. Oh, you're stringing someone else along again. You're really a scumbag. I didn't. She did it on her own. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a bang at the door. Sinji's eyes were red as she stood there, with a drink she was going to give to Jiang Beiyan lying on the ground by her feet. She wiped her eyes and ran away. I saw Jiang Beiyan clench his hands into fists. The next moment, he ran out after her. 9. After I sat down, Shinqingzi took out a wet wipe from her bag and handed it to me. Do you want to go to the bathroom? I shook my head. No thanks. There were some bloodstains on my pants. They had already dried, appearing as small dark red spots. I took it, and carefully wiped it, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get it off. It was strange. I didn't think about anything at all. But my eyes felt unbearably sore, so I quickly lowered my head. Every time before, I was always the one who was left behind, but even with a second chance, it's still painful. But I think this might just be a conditioned reflex from when I was in my early 20s, so I pinched my palm hard, and a strong pain came. I silently recited in my heart, 17-year-old Wening, this time you must win. The next moment, Shen Qingxi's clear voice came, there are many ways to solve these problems. Do you want to hear them? I quickly wiped my face and looked up at him, grinning widely. Yes. That night during self-study class, Shen Qingxi pushed his well-organized physics notes towards me. Maybe you can use them. I opened it, and there were his neat and elegant handwriting, summarizing each key point. In the previous life, he got into Tsinghua University. I heard that after graduation, he came back here. I don't know why. I wrote a note and passed it to him. Shen Qingxi. Do you think I can get into Tsinghua if I start working hard now? He unfolded the note, and the warm white light shone on his face, casting a delicate shadow of his eyelashes. Beneath his high nose bridge, he curled his lips and began to write. My heart was in my throat. I was afraid he would reply, you're not even close, but when I unfolded the note, there was only one character on it, Can, 10. Perhaps it was the strong desire of this life to change my fate. Or maybe it was the affirmation from the top student. I ignited a fierce determination. I started organizing my class notes and reviewing the key points. Before, I relied on my little bit of smarts, and many questions were just half understood. Now, I started from the basics, chewing over the textbook knowledge again and again, thanks to being seated next to Shen Qingxi. I made full use of this top student resource, and even added his contact information at the same time, making it easier to consult difficult questions. His social media circle had few posts, but the only one that repeatedly appeared was a sunflower. Perhaps this sunflower had a special meaning for him, like how Jiang Beiyan used to post some gardenias on his social media circle occasionally. Later, I understood. It was representing Sinji. I wonder. Hasn't Sinji been bringing Jiang Beiyan breakfast lately? But surprisingly, there was a bottle of yogurt and bread on my desk. I asked Shen Qingxi, is this yours? He shook his head. The girl behind me poked my back and whispered, I came early. It was Jiang Beiyan who delivered it. TSK. After the two of them had a cold war, they came to me for attention again. I didn't even turn to look at him. I went to the back of the class and threw the trash away. When I came back, Jiang Beiyan stretched out his foot to block me, his eyes filled with hidden anger. Wening, what do you mean by that? I don't understand what you're saying. He pointed at the trash. I bought the breakfast. Oh, that's the attitude you want from me. I laughed at him. Jiang Beiyan, have you been possessed? What attitude do I need for just a breakfast? Should I kneel down and bow to you? He was furious, his eyes almost bulging. Wening, have you had enough fun? What do you want me to do to get your attention? I crossed my arms and glanced at him, returning his words from the previous life. Are you done yet? Can't you find something else to do? I'm busy. Then I stepped over his foot and went back to my seat. Jiang Beiyan spoke in a low voice. Okay, Wening, you're impressive. 11. I really am impressive. After the monthly exam results came out, I jumped from the middle of the class to the top 15. Of course, Shen Qingxi is even more impressive. He's firmly in first place, and he's even far ahead of the others. I looked at the ranking and secretly thought, I wish one day I could be behind him, so I studied even harder. I wished I could stretch a day into 2 days. I even regretted that I had wasted so much good time on Jiang Beiyan in the past 2 years. I really was crazy. I stood in front of the honor board for a while, then got ready to leave, but I didn't know when Shen Qingxi had come to stand beside me. I pointed at the photo on it. It looks really good. He has been at the top for the past 2 years. He looked in my direction and nodded. He isn't the least bit modest. On the way back to the classroom, he suddenly spoke. Wening, are you sure you want to apply to Tsinghua? I looked up at him. The remaining sunlight fell on his shoulder, warming his white shirt. His sincere and bright eyes reflected my image. I met his gaze and nodded firmly. Yes, Shen Qingxi. One day I will be next to your name. 12. But I didn't expect that Sinji had come to see me. In the previous life, we didn't have any interaction throughout high school. This life, I think it's probably because I changed the plot, so some character relationships also changed. She blocked me during PE class, and I was afraid of something that would be hard to explain. I turned on the phone's video recording function. She immediately wanted to slap me. I quickly blocked it. I pulled her hand away, and she looked at me angrily. Wening, are you really that despicable? Do you think these tricks will make Jiang Beiyan like you? I laughed. I think you have a completely underdeveloped brain, and an overdeveloped cerebellum. What do I need his affection for? How much is it worth? You like him. Go find him then. Why are you two fighting and taking it out on me? I'm not a trash can. I don't take everything. I really don't want to get involved with her anymore. She grabbed my hand and said, I'll tell you. Jiang Beiyan likes me. If you're smart, stay away from him. It made me laugh. Big sister, you're sick. Go see a doctor. I don't care who Jiang Beiyan likes. If you have time to bother me here, why not do a few more problems to enrich your barren mind? No wonder they say she and Jiang Beiyan are a pair. Both of them are people who don't understand common sense. For such people, I don't even want to say more words. As I was about to leave, Sinji came after me and blocked my way again. A second later, a soccer ball flew towards us. Fortunately, she blocked my view, and the ball hit her directly. She fell to the ground, but because I was holding her, I also fell to the ground due to inertia. Jiang Beiyan ran over from the distance. What's going on? Sinji held her forehead and looked at him with teary eyes. My head is so painful and dizzy. Am I concussed? Good grief. I really wonder if the head on her neck is just to make her look taller. It's hit on her body. And she still got a concussion. Medical students would want to take her for a specimen right here. I laughed coldly. She hugged Jiang Beiyan's leg. I just wanted to apologize to Wening, but she pushed me. I never thought of hurting her. I just wanted her not to ignore you. Please don't be angry with her. Okay, another one of these plot lines. I've seen this too many times in my previous life, and every time I argued, Jiang Beiyan would look at me coldly and tell me not to make trouble for no reason. This time I didn't say anything. I tried to get up on my hands, but Jiang Beiyan rushed to my side. He picked me up directly. Where did you get hurt? Let me see. This action shocked both Sinji, who was lying on the ground, and me, who was in his arms. He looked down at Sinji, his tone devoid of any warmth. Why did you go to her? Sinji's tears fell down, looking at him with a pouty face. Jiang Beiyan. He just frowned, not even looking at her. I told you clearly last time, I don't like you. Don't come looking for me anymore. By the way, if I find you disturbing Wenying's studies again, don't blame me for being unkind to you. I had Jiang Beiyan put me down on the way. It was just a small scrape on my hand. No blood even came out. Jiang Beiyan still stubbornly put a band-aid on me. He looked down, for the first time lowering his pride, his voice carrying a plea. Wening. After the basketball accidentally hit you last time, I haven't had any contact with Sinji anymore. So, can you stop treating me like this? 13. I always feel like I forgot something in the previous life in the fire scene, but I just can't remember what it was. Still, I don't want any connection with Jiang Beiyan. He brought breakfast, and I gave it to the fat guy ahead. He brought snacks, and I distributed them to everyone before self-study class. He prepared a gift for me, and I returned all of it. Our relationship seemed to have changed, and he started doing the things I used to do for him, but I still didn't talk to him. To be precise, I didn't have time to get involved with him. I was only focused on studying, only wanting to keep shortening the distance from Shinqingzi. Because there's a saying that if you set your goal very high, even if you don't reach it, you won't be too far from it. I printed this sentence and stuck it on my desk, and wrote on it with a black marker pen, Beijing, wait for me. There is a big exclamation mark behind. Shinqingzi saw it and smiled. I turned my head and said, do you think I'm childish? He shook his head and said, no. Then why are you laughing? Shinqingzi didn't say anything, but he picked up his pen and added a sentence behind that line, wait for me to get into Tsinghua. I wasn't sure whether this sentence was written for me or for him, but I still remember, the autumn afternoon, the breeze blowing the classroom curtains, creating ripples. The bright and clear young man in his school uniform held the pen tightly and carefully wrote down his dream. We smiled at each other. It turns out, during our student days, we could also have a telepathic understanding for our dreams and with someone. 14. Time passes quickly, and the midterm exam arrived as expected. My ranking improved a bit, just 10th place. Even the head teacher noticed my progress and called me to talk in the office. Inside, Shinqingzi was helping the teacher prepare some materials. The teacher said that 3 nights of self-study classes each week would be set aside for individual tutoring for the top 5 students in the grade. It's aimed at cultivating students who can enter Tsinghua and Peking University. The message he conveyed was that he saw my potential and hoped I could also join. I nodded and said, okay, teacher, I will work hard. There's still some distance to the top 5. I did a review of my own situation again. My weaknesses now are physics and biology. Physics has always been my biggest problem, but it also means there's a lot of room for improvement. Biology, I don't like memorizing things, but ultimately it's because my foundation is not solid. After leaving the office, I met Shinqingzi, who had also just come out. On the way back to the classroom, he called out to me, Wening. I turned around, and his expression was relaxed. with less aloofness, I believe you can make it into the top 5. I was stunned for a moment, and laughed. I also believe in myself, but right now, physics and biology really need improvement. I still have to work harder. The sky was dim, and the streetlights in the campus lit up one by one. The high-rise buildings in the distance were brightly lit. I walked back to the classroom with Shenqingxi. When we were almost at the door, I heard Shenqingxi's reply, "Wening, I'll help you." 15. No one can refuse an invitation from a top student. Shenqingxi really kept his word, and he helped me go through the physics knowledge points. He patiently explained the thinking process of each problem to me. He kept drawing diagrams to help me visualize the concepts. After some time, I felt that my problem-solving approach had indeed improved. As for biology, he directly subjected me to intensive training, making me memorize by force. I protested, "Really, I don't study liberal arts because I don't like memorizing things." Shenqingxi looked serious and said, "No way, like the iron-faced Yan Wang. There's nothing I can do about it." To avoid disturbing others, every evening before study hall, he would wait by the playground, making sure I finished the assigned tasks. That day, as I was reciting, suddenly the skies began to snow. Under the lights, they fell gently, then melted in my palm. Many students were watching from the window, taking photos. I looked at the snowflakes and asked, "Shenqingxi, I want to take the entrance exam for Tsinghua University. What about you?" He looked at my face for a moment, then turned around and caught a snowflake. "I am too, Shenqingxi. I will definitely get in, I know." I lowered my head, feeling strangely sad, thinking about the events of the previous life. It felt like a dream, this absurd thing. No one can understand. I'm afraid something strange will happen again in this life, afraid that once again I still can't change my fate. I can only bear it alone, turning all the sorrows into a foundation for moving forward. Maybe because I hadn't spoken for a long time, Shenqingxi sat beside me and spoke gently, "Wening, if you're unhappy, you can tell me." The playground was bustling with people, and snow was falling from the sky. I looked up, biting my lip hard, afraid that the next moment tears would fall. "I don't want to lose, and I can't lose." Shenqingxi, "Want to take a gamble with me?" His voice carried a hint of a smile. "What's the bet?" "Bet that I'll catch up to you." When the last snowflake fell, I heard his answer, "You will win." 16. Before the final exam, I was called to the head teacher's office with Shenqingxi. This final exam is also the first provincial simulation exam. It said that the results of the first simulation exam can predict the college entrance exam results, so the head teacher talked to the top 10 students, telling us not to be nervous and to take it as usual. I didn't expect to run into Jiang Beiyan and Sinji right after leaving. Sinji is always eager to cause trouble. Isn't this the top science student? Shenqingxi, "Hey, Wening, why don't you lick Jiang Beiyan anymore and start licking the university top student instead?" Jiang Beiyan's face turned very ugly. Shenqingxi wanted to say something, but I stopped him. "I think it's not worth arguing with her." Who knew she would mock again? "You've already held hands. Isn't Jiang Beiyan good enough for you? You're cheating on both of them. Are you ashamed?" I couldn't stand it anymore. I wonder why I could smell a bad odor from far away. "It turns out you still have bad breath. Haven't you cured it yet? What about you, the worst student in the liberal arts class? Did you pass Chinese? How dare you speak so recklessly?" Sinji was about to speak, but Jiang Beiyan cut her off. "Are you done yet?" She was suddenly yelled at, and big tears came instantly. "Jiang Beiyan, you ungrateful person, I spoke for you and you still treat me like this. Do you have any conscience?" So annoying, I didn't want to get involved with them. So I pulled Shenqingxi to leave. Jiang Beiyan suddenly spoke from the side. "Shenqingxi, let's talk." I don't know what they talked about, but after returning to the classroom, Jiang Beiyan's arrogance seemed to drop significantly. I approached Shenqingxi and asked, "Did he hit you?" He shook his head and said, "We just talked." "What did you talk about?" "A man's topic." "What kind of topic?" "You'll find out after the college entrance exam." "Hey, still keeping it a secret?" Shenqingxi held the newly distributed physics test. "You're free, come on, explain the logic of this problem." 17. Before the final exam, Shenqingxi gave me a candy. "Eat it, your mood will get better, and if your mood is better, you'll know all the questions." I held the candy. "You can rest assured, but you should study hard, otherwise I'll surpass you." Shenqingxi smiled but said nothing. After the last subject, the rain stopped and the winter sun shone down, making everyone feel warm and cozy. Jiang Beiyan was waiting outside the classroom. "My mom said she hasn't seen you for a while. Come back to our house for a meal." I really didn't want to go. Sometimes I wonder, if in my previous life, Jian Beiyan and I hadn't ended up together, can we still be friends? The answer is, no. I can't be friends with someone I like now. I can't pretend nothing happened just because Jian Beiyan hasn't had a chance to hurt me yet. What I did for him before, he always took for granted, using my feelings as a way to provoke Sinji. I can't forgive him. Then I should just stay away from him as much as possible. I stepped back to a safe distance, shook my head, and said faintly, I won't go. I need to buy some materials. Jian Beiyan's eyes flashed with pain, his voice full of confusion. Wening, tell me, where did I go wrong? If I wronged you before, I'll change. What else did I do wrong? Can you tell me? Can't you look at me with that distant gaze anymore? If you really want to make amends, then don't bother me anymore. I went around him and left. He stood in the corridor, his bangs falling over his eyes. I'm not sure if it was my imagination, but I thought I saw his eyes red. 18. The final exam results were announced, and I just got 5th place. Especially my weakness in physics, I made great progress. I took a photo of my grades and sent it to Shinqingzi. Look, my scores improved, he replied quickly. Still need to improve. Humph. After all, someone said they wanted to catch up with me. I was so scared that I immediately did 2 more sets of practice exams to calm down. During winter vacation, to avoid unnecessary trouble, I locked myself at home to study hard. Not even the annual visit to Jiangbei did I go to. My mother was worried and said, Dear daughter, you're studying so hard, don't study yourself silly. She doesn't understand. I just don't want to see Jiangbei anymore. Moreover, studying is really addictive. I wish I could spend all my time at home. According to tradition, my parents are probably going to play mahjong until late, riding late into the night. I looked out the window, and it was snowing again, and it's getting heavier and heavier. With a thick layer already on the ground, I put on my down jacket and prepared to make a snowman. When I went down, I realized I had forgotten to wear my scarf. Never mind, I'll be back up in a minute anyway. I was crouched on the ground, just finished making a big snowball, when suddenly I saw a pair of shoes in front of me. When I looked up, it was Jiangbei. He was holding a thermos. I glanced at him and continued with my work. You didn't come. I was worried there would be no one to cook for you, so I brought you some food. I ignored him and continued making the second snowball. A cold wind blew into my nose, making me sneeze. The next second, Jiangbei pulled off his scarf to wrap it around me. I reached out and said, no need. His hand stopped in midair, and after a while, he put it back down, as if nothing had happened, and crouched down. Let me help you. When I was very young, I loved to play snowball fights with Jiangbei and liked to build snowmen. He always said that the little figures I made were all over the place. Saying that, his hands didn't stop. I took the opportunity to throw a snowball into his neck. During the winter when I was 16, I did this again, but I suddenly realized that he had grown much taller than me. I jumped up to tease him, but he dodged, and I slipped, and we both fell into the snow. We both panted heavily, but couldn't stop laughing. At that time, I lay next to him and thought, if we could stay like this forever, just on our 18th birthday, we could only look at each other in silence. The longer I stayed in the snow, the longer Jiangbei stayed with me, until I pressed the rubber band in my hand onto the snowman's mouth, and it was finally completed. Only then did I hear his trembling voice. I was momentarily crazy. I don't know why I got involved with Sinji, but I never thought about being with her. Nothing has happened between us. I don't like her, whether you believe it or not. Wening, you are the most important to me. We've been through 18 years together. Can you not leave me? By the end, his voice was choked with emotion. You said you would marry me when we grew up. One after another, snowflakes fell on Jiangbei head and body. Green mountains will never age. They will turn white for the snow. I just don't care anymore. I pulled my hat tighter and spoke in a normal tone. Just pretend I've changed. I feel disgusted every second I'm with Jiangbei. I don't like you anymore. Let's end it here. When I turned around, he grabbed me. Have you really fallen for Shinqingzi? I shrugged my shoulders and said to him the same words he once said to me. If that's how you think, there's nothing I can do about it. 19. That day, after I went upstairs, Jiangbei kept standing below, like a statue. I closed the window and continued studying my English vocabulary. During the spring festival, I received greetings from many friends. I replied to each of them one by one, then continued doing exercises. Jiangbei sent me a photo. It was the New Year gift I gave him last year, a big Lego. I didn't reply to him. It was almost midnight when Shinqingzi sent a message, Happy New Year. I was about to reply, and then another message appeared in the chat window, give you a gift. 10 seconds later, a 49.2 MB file was sent to me. just 2 words, physics. I opened it. And it was all the key points and classic questions from the 3 years of high school, reorganized by Shinchingsi. This won't fool me. I also sent him my compiled Chinese key points. Shocking. Her secret to scoring 140 in Chinese is here. Soon after, Shinchingsi called me. Wening, this time, you must do it well. You will get into Tsinghua University, and you will have a brighter future. Shinchingsi's voice had a unique boyish charm. I smiled and said, why are you saying these all of a sudden? Don't tell me it's because my Chinese is better than yours. And you're scared. I'm scared. What are you scared of? The air became quiet. After a pause, I finally heard his answer. Scared I can't catch up with you. I laughed and said, Shinchingsi, you will. 20. This winter vacation was short, and school started soon after. Because I ranked in the top 5, I finally could join the top students for the teacher's individual tutoring during evening study sessions. The 5 of us were like sponges, constantly absorbing the knowledge provided by the teachers, enriching ourselves. Every time before class, when everyone was discussing their dream college life, their eyes were full of light. It's once again the 100-day oath ceremony. This time, Shinchingsi was the student representative who went to the podium to lead everyone in reciting the oath. Finally, he said, I hope everyone faces the sun and moves towards the light. I was slightly taken aback. I remembered my self-introduction in my first year of high school. My name is Wening. I was born under the sun, like a sunflower, always facing the light. I looked up at the stage. From a distance, it seemed as if Shinchingsi's gaze had fallen on my face. A pile of papers, repeated exams, became the daily life of the last semester of senior year. In the second mock exam, I ranked 3rd. 3 exams, I got 2nd place. Not only was it 2nd in the grade, but it was also 2nd in the city. This time, the gap between my score and Shinchingsi's has further narrowed. I was just about to show off a little, when he stopped me and told me to take out my physics test paper to carefully analyze the mistakes. Ugh, the top scorer is really hard to deal with. What can I do? I just followed his advice, corrected the mistakes, and continued to practice similar types of questions. A few days before the college entrance exam, during the last period of self-study class, Shinchingsi suddenly called me. Wening, what? You should work hard for the college entrance exam. I laughed. I will definitely do it. I prayed to heaven for a chance to do it all over again. How could I not cherish it? Yes, always tell me if you have any problems. Okay, if you need help, come to me. Got it. Also, what else? I turned around, he smiled, then shook his head. His eyes clear and bright. Beijing is beautiful. I know. Then he took out a lucky charm from his bag and placed it on my desk. I got it on the 2nd day of the Lunar New Year, hoping it brings you good luck. I picked it up and said, why did you give it to me now? It's not too late. Thank you. After that, there was only the sound of our pens scratching against the paper. I turned my head and looked at him. The warm classroom light gave a golden hue to his hair ends, making him look more gentle. Shinchingsi, I called out to him. See you in Beijing. Okay. 21. I had made full preparations. I didn't expect that on the way to the exam, I was blocked. A few hooligans blocked my way. I frowned and moved to the side. They laughed and blocked me again. One of them with red hair grinned. Hey, top student, going for the college entrance exam. I confirmed. They were after me specifically. I didn't think I had offended anyone in the past year. As I had been studying hard every day, the only person who could have sent them was one person. Did G send you? Who sent us doesn't matter. We just want to show you a little color. Today is the college entrance exam. Can we settle this after the exam? Those few hooligans were looking at me like it was a joke. It's too late now, little sister. If you come with us willingly, we'll make sure not to hurt you. If you resist, we'll really hurt your delicate skin. After saying that, they laughed in a sinister way. I realized that fighting back definitely wouldn't work. Their goal was to prevent me from taking today's exam. But after working so hard, how could I just give up and miss it? When I was about to press the emergency call, a voice behind me said, "It's not fair to bully a little girl when there are so many of you." The red-haired one snorted, "Don't get involved. It's none of your business." I saw them rolling up their sleeves, and with their numbers, it was clear we were at a disadvantage, so I pulled Jiang Baiyan's sleeve and said, "Run away." But before we could react, the leader with red hair rushed forward. Jiang Baiyan quickly shielded me behind him and said, "You run away." Then I got into a fight with them. I took the opportunity to run out and just met Shinchingsi at the intersection. He immediately called the police, fortunately, because the college entrance exam was a big event. There were many police officers on the street maintaining order. After explaining the situation, I asked them to go and save Jian Beiyan quickly. When there were still 5 minutes before the exam started, the police officers escorted us to the school safely. Before entering, Shen Qingxi gave me a piece of candy and said, "Wening, good luck." Thinking about my goal to go to Beijing, I nodded. 2 days passed like a dream, and it was soon over. I only remember the clear blue sky, the sound of cicadas, and the light cast by the wind moving the leaves. The good thing is that Jian Beiyan was 10 minutes late for the first class, but still entered. He didn't miss the exam after all, because I don't want to owe someone a favor. After investigation, nothing was found, and the hooligans were judged to be causing trouble, so they were just given a verbal warning. But I know, behind the scenes, it should be Tsinji. 22. In the evening, the class organized a party. It just happened to be in the same place as Tsinji's class. I took a cup of alcohol and walked over. Then I poured it over her head. She let out a scream. I played the previous recording in front of everyone. When that "Wening, are you embarrassing yourself?" was played, her face turned pale immediately. I grabbed her chin and said, "Tsinji, you had someone block me so I couldn't take the college entrance exam. We need to have a serious talk about this." There was a flash of panic in her eyes. I was right, but she suddenly shouted, "Wening, you're crazy. If you have the guts, call the police." I really am crazy. If I could have a second chance, I wouldn't have anything left to lose or care about. I smiled at the people in her class and said, "Personal matters, let's settle them first." Then he grabbed her hand and pulled her to a secluded private room. In the middle, Jian Beiyan came over. I looked up and said, "Move aside." Tsinji looked like she found a savior, grabbing Jian Beiyan's sleeve and saying, "Jian Beiyan, it's not my fault. You quickly deal with Wening, that scoundrel." "Wening," Jian Beiyan spoke. I looked at him and said, "You want to play the knight in shining armor again." But the next sentence, he said, "This kind of thing, leave it to me. Don't dirty your hands." Then he ignored Tsinji's scream, covered her mouth, and pulled her to a place without surveillance. I didn't feel like going to the party anymore, so I sat on a chair by the side. Suddenly feel kind of meaningless. I don't know why in this life Jian Beiyan has changed like this, but everything is too late now. I touched the place where my heart is. Hate him. I think I do. Hate him for trampling on my love, making me pay the price of my own confusion with my life. Love him. Maybe in the previous life I did, but all of it was burned away by that sudden big fire. I feel a severe dryness in my throat. I desperately want to drink something. A bottle of water was held out in front of me. It was Shen Qingxi. For some reason, I suddenly felt a bit guilty. He must have seen what just happened. Would he think I was unjustly accusing someone? After all, we reported the incident together that day, and we both know the outcome. I looked up at him and asked, "Do you think I'm very cruel?" He shook his head and came closer to me, then sat down next to me. Under the fluorescent light, his features remained cold. "Are you feeling better?" For a moment, I was confused. Then I nodded quickly and shook my head again. After taking revenge, it didn't feel as happy as I had imagined. He took out a bottle of yogurt from his bag, opened it, and held it out in front of me. "Try this." I took a sip and snorted, "Shen Qingxi, you really don't know how to make a girl happy." I saw his face turn red in an instant, even his ear tips turned red. After a while, he finally spoke, "Then teach me." 23. The gathering still had to continue. I don't know how Jian Beiyan dealt with it. Anyway, I didn't see Tsinji that night, and he became very strange after coming back. He kept looking at me, and his eyes carried some emotions I couldn't understand. It seemed as if he had suddenly grown older. Under various toasting sessions with classmates, he came to me with a wine glass in hand. A second later, a few tears fell down. He said, "I'm sorry, Wening, it's all over. Jian Beiyan, I hope our entanglement ends here. I really don't want to end up like in the previous life, trapped in this emotional quagmire, suffering endlessly. I just want to stay away from people who make me feel uncomfortable. From now on, never seeing each other again, that would be good." But Jian Beiyan still pulled me into a secluded private room. In the dim space, all I could hear were our breathing sounds. After a moment of silence, Jian Beiyan looked at my stomach, his eyes reddening. I heard him ask, voice suppressed, "Wening, do we have a child?" I was stunned, looking at him. He closed his eyes in pain. "It's because I hurt you so much before, that you became like this." It turned out he had also reincarnated. I finally remembered the thing I had never thought of. Why did Jinji come to my door that day? It was because I met her while I was having a medical checkup in the hospital. "I'm pregnant." The pregnancy test report shows that I am 6 weeks pregnant, and the fetus already has a heartbeat. Her face turned pale instantly. I was full of excitement and wanted to tell Jiang Beiyan the good news after he got off work, but instead I met Shinji. If we both get into a desperate situation, do you think he would choose who? Like the last straw that broke the camel's back, I finally realized and decided to get a divorce. I just didn't expect a sudden fire to appear. This fire came in a strange way. Before being consumed by the fire, I waved that piece of paper, not giving up, and called out to Jiang Beiyan, but he couldn't hear me, because he didn't even look back. What was my mood at that moment? It seemed I had no mood at all. Not a single tear fell from my eyes, but now, my vision instantly became blurred. I gently touched my stomach. In fact, I had never cried. I didn't cry when I was given up countless times. He didn't come to save me and my child, and I didn't cry. Even when I was reborn, I didn't cry, but now, I cried, not for myself, but for the unborn baby in my belly. Jiang Beiyan tried to reach out and touch me, but I dodged. Don't touch me, you make me feel sick. He stood there, a thin figure. As if he had suddenly become old and worn, he choked out, Wening, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But Jiang Beiyan, it was a case of one death and two lives. I tightly grabbed his collar, my voice trembling, Jiang Beiyan, I will never forgive you. I know. He crouched on the ground, grabbing his hair. I'm sorry, I really am sorry, like a pitiful person who had lost their beloved. After a while, he looked up, his eyes red with blood, as if wanting to touch my hand. I was really a jerk before. Wening, I'm sorry for you and the child. It seemed he only knew how to say I'm sorry. But how could it possibly be okay? Whether you believe it or not, I saved her because she was closer to the exit. I had planned to take her out first and then come back for you immediately, so I didn't look back. No, Jiang Beiyan, if I was the most important to you, your eyes wouldn't have looked at anyone else. He seemed to have been struck at his weakness, trembling, looking at me with despair and pain. Finally, as if having made a decision, he said to me, can I have one last hug? I took a few steps back and shook my head. I think, there's no need for it anymore. As he was leaving, he heard his voice as if coming from afar, Wening, I will give you and our child an explanation. 24. But it was too late. I don't care anymore. After the party ended, I was so drunk I was swaying, and I felt really bad. It felt like something was heavily pounding in my heart, making it hard to breathe. Shinjingzi took my hand, his eyes full of tenderness. If you feel sad, just cry it out. Tears fell one after another, falling on his hand, falling on the ground. It spread instantly. I kept my head down, desperately trying to control myself. I thought I had already cried all my tears, but I hadn't. They still wouldn't listen to me, falling down constantly. In the summer night breeze, Shinjingzi gently embraced me, pulling me into his arms. The pleasant scent of a young man enveloped me instantly. Wening, it's over. I bit his shoulder hard, trying not to make a sound. He gently patted my back, speaking in a soft and determined tone, we will all have a better future. 25. It was the last time I saw Jiang Beiyan. It was him coming to my building to call me. I leaned out of the window. He was wearing a blue t-shirt, looking fresh and bright, completely different from that night. It reminded me of the way he used to wait for me at the building when we were in junior high school to go to school together. Just like when he was young. I was just about to close the window. Jiang Beiyan waved at me and smiled. Wening, goodbye. I didn't expect that. On this ordinary afternoon, that goodbye meant this. A sudden fire broke out in Shangya community. When the firefighters arrived, 2 people inside had no signs of life. It is reported that the 2 were this year's college entrance exam candidates. The relevant departments are currently investigating the details. That day was the day the exam results were announced. Jiang Beiyan and Senji died in the fire. When I went to Jiang Beiyan's funeral, his parents handed me a box. I opened it, and there was a photo inside. It was a photo of me and Jiang Beiyan from our middle school graduation. I was smiling happily, while he had an ugly expression. On the back, there was a line of text, which I had written, Wening, I will be like a sunflower, your little son, Jiang Beiyan, and there was also a black hair tie, which I left on the snowman that night, as well as a letter from Jiang Beiyan to me, Wening. I'm sorry, I'm a bastard. I don't know that I treated you so badly in my past life. I really want to kill myself. I actually don't dislike you. On the contrary, I love you. I just sometimes can't tell if it's love or habit. When Senji appeared, her personality was different from yours. I thought I liked her, but I didn't want to lose you. I admit I'm a scumbag. Thinking back to the things I did to you before, I want to go back and beat that Jiang Beiyan up. That day, Shinjingzi asked me, what can I bring you? Make you happy, make you better. I didn't have anything. I only made you more manic. He said, if I want you to be happy, I should clear all obstacles in your way. I didn't know that he did just as much as me. He even had people beat up Tsunji, and warned her not to come looking for you. I didn't know any of this. It seems that the person who looked so cold, who only focused on studying, also had such a cruel look in his eyes. I thought this time you were because of Tsunji, so I had already kept away from her early, hoping to gain your attention again, but you only showed me coldness, and my heart was more painful than being cut by a knife. Until that party, I remembered everything, and I knew that we really got married in our past life. If 18-year-old Jiang Beiyan knew, he would be very happy, but you died in that fire, because of me. In the previous life, that fire was Tsunji's doing, so this life let me do something for you. I really hope that 18-year-old Jiang Beiyan dies, so there wouldn't be a 25-year-old Jiang Beiyan who hurts you. If you have seen this letter, it means I succeeded, Wening, this life. You should be happy. Don't ever remember me. If there is a next life, I will personally atone for my sins. Please don't push me away this time, okay? Also, this life, Jiang Beiyan at 18, loves Wening, 26. After coming out, it was Shen Qingxi who came to pick me up. The sunlight was very bright. I had trouble opening my eyes. If you feel unwell, my shoulder can be relied on. Want to cry? No. Just melancholy. In the previous life, I paid the price for my stubbornness. In this life, Jiang Beiyan atoned with his life. Again, the ending was like this. I never thought of this direction. That day, I walked around the lake again and again with Shen Qingxi. I didn't say a word, and he just kept accompanying me, until the stars shone brightly. His eyes remained bright. The start of the school term was approaching, and I and Shen Qingxi took the same flight. On the plane, I asked him, Shen Qingxi, why did you apply to Tsinghua? Because you wanted to. Why do you like sunflowers? I remember on the first day of school, a classmate introduced herself. She said, my name is Wening. Ing means welcoming the sunrise. I am like a sunflower, always facing the light. Shen Qingxi, you've been secretly in love with me since freshman year, right? Yes. So, would you give me a chance to become a regular employee? A long time later, I found out. It turned out that my connection with Shen Qingxi had already existed in the previous life. It's like a cycle, this life. Shen Qingxi chose to take the Tsinghua University entrance exam because I said I wanted to, while in the previous life, Shen Qingxi took the Tsinghua University entrance exam because I, in this life, wanted to go there. I smiled and took his hand. Then, look forward to the future. End of main text. Shen Qingxi's side story. What are you going to exchange? I use my soul. He left decisively, not even giving me a glance. I know, so I hope I can have another life, if I have another life.